Chapter 423. Lady, are you peeking at me? Everyone was staring at the two people who were standing together side by side. There was an indescribable emotion in their hearts as they sighed. In this world you could not find two people more fitting for each other, right? Lu Qinyu's appearance had always been praiseworthy, but if she were to stand beside Di Bei-chan, people would not have the feeling of them being a match. The crowd was shocked. Due to such a contrast, they could not help but notice that Bailey Hongzhuang looked even more outstanding right now, especially since the red dress made her appear bolder, and you could see the tenacity and fierceness of Bailey Hongzhuang. At this moment, everyone could see that Di Bei-chan and Bailey Hongzhuang were a natural couple, mutually praised as everyone remained silent. Do you really have to show so much love? Xia Zhiqing had a wide smile on her face. She remembered earlier when she thought that Hongzong and Dongfang you were very much in tune, but it turns out that Di Bei-chan and Hongzhuang were a natural pair. Hongzhuang, you really look good in this kind of clothes. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Xia Zhiqing, who was dressed in purple. There was a trace of playfulness to her, making her appear very cute. However, that mature figure was also exposed under the slightly tight dress, and many men nearby were looking at Xia Zhiqing's curvy body and drooling. Bailey Hongzhuang blinked and smiled. I can't compare to you. Xia Zhiqing was slightly surprised but soon understood the meaning of Bailey Hongzhuang's words. She could not help but flush as she reprimanded, Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled, shrugging as she motioned for her to stop talking. Gong Shaoqing saw that everyone was gathered and said, We are now ready to enter deeper into the mountains. At any time we may meet wicked. We must be more careful. Then Gong Shaoqing turned to the side to Cui Haoyan. You and Zhan Yunfeng walk in front. New students walk in the middle. I and Dongfang you will walk behind. Cui Haoyan nodded slightly. What Gong Shaoqing had said was undoubtedly the best strategy. Only in this way would the risk be minimized. Everyone else did not have an opinion, but Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but look at Di Bei-chan. In the ranks of the team, Di Bei-chan was the strongest, but that guy was walking around here like he was strolling in the back garden of his own home. Feeling Bailey Hongzhuang's sight on him, Di Bei-chan bent slightly, coming closer to her. Are you sneakily looking at your husband? You think too much. Bailey Hongzhuang said as she looked away. This guy's perception was really sensitive. The arc of Di Bei-chan's lips expanded, and he lightly said, Lady can continue to look at me, after all, the husband is here for her. After the arrangement of Gong Shaoqing and Cui Haoyan, the team divided into two rows of people. Naturally, Bailey Hongzhuang walked with Di Bei-chan, while Xia Zhiqing and Bai Junyu walked behind them. Together, they walked deeper into the mountains. Cui Haoyan, who was walking in the front, looked at the map and led the team in the direction where the miasma forest was. Since the demonic beast tide, there had been many changes in the Luoyun mountains. Many plants were destroyed, and towering trees had fallen to the ground, leaning the dense mountain ranges with a feeling of emptiness. A demonic beast tide causes a lot of changes, Bailey Hongzhuang said, secretly feeling that the destructive force of this century-rare demonic beast tide was really terrible. Hearing the words of Bailey Hongzhuang, the calm Di Bei-chan's emotions became turbulent, his breathing also changing a bit. Chapter 424. Night camping. Feeling the sudden change in Di Bei-chan's mood, Bailey Hongzhuang looked at him, finding that Di Bei-chan's face was cold as ice, dark and depressed. I will not die so easily, it must be a blessing. Bailey Hongzhuang's voice was soft. She had long since realized that the demonic beast tide incident was a knot in Di Bei-chan's heart. Every time she mentioned the demonic beast tide, Di Bei-chan's emotions seemed to change, but this change was because of her? Di Bei-chan looked at Bailey Hongzhuang as if he was trying to etch her in his heart. He nodded slightly, the tension in the atmosphere easing a bit, and that unparalleled beautiful face revealed an evil, charming smile again. Bailey Hongzhuang sighed in relief. Although she had never seen an angry Di Bei-chan, she believed that Di Bei-chan's rage would be very scary. As they gradually descended down the Luoyun mountains, there were fewer and fewer people around. Occasionally they would come across a group of mercenaries who was also going towards the miasma forest. Other times there were no movements. On this expedition, it was inevitable that they would run into wicked beasts. However, they were all sensitive and the beasts were quickly disposed of by them. In particular, Cui Haoyan and Gong Shaoqing had repeatedly demonstrated their experience from entering the Luoyun Mountains so many times. Therefore, the entire team did not suffer in the slightest. On the contrary, they had a lot of gains. The eyes of Xia Zhiqing were always glowing with excitement. On this expedition, she was more excited than nervous. Bailey Hongzhuang was also feeling pretty normal. Her spiritual strength was strong due to being an alchemist. Coupled with the fact that she had traversed through time to come here, her spiritual power was undoubtedly the strongest among this group. Along with the existence of Xiao He, Xiao Bai, and Baisher, she was the first person to find the trail of wicked. However, even in these circumstances she did not react, she did not try to grab the limelight. This was even more true for Di Bei Chan. Even if he sensed the beasts, his clear and handsome face did not have the slightest change. Truthfully, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others did not feel like they were on an expedition at the moment, they felt like it was an excursion. This must be because the strength of the wicked in the Luoyun Mountains was not that strong, and with their strength, no one in the group would suffer. However, as they went deeper, they too had to be careful of the surrounding wicked. As night fell, the whole Luoyun Mountains was shrouded in darkness. The calls and shrieks of the wicked made the surroundings sinister. The sky is already dark. Let's find a place to rest. Cui Haoyan said. The beasts are rampant at night. If we continue on this path, we will be in trouble if we run into the stronger ones. Hearing this, everyone nodded. Their strength at night was not comparable to wicked. It was known that many mercenaries had died in the Luoyun Mountains because they were attacked in the night by wicked. I've been in this area before. I know a good place for camping. That's good. Cui Haoyan replied with a laugh. Dongfang Yu, you come in the front to lead the way. Okay. Dongfang Yu immediately walked to the front of the group and led the team to the place he spoke of. After walking for about 1 incense stick's time, the group finally arrived at the place. It was a highland and the surrounding vision was wide. If there were any wicked beasts, it would certainly not escape anyone's attention. This was indeed an excellent place to camp. Chapter 425 Lady cares about me. This is a really good place. Cui Haoyan smiled widely as he leaned against a big tree to sit down. Everyone sat down and took a break. Everyone was tired, and so after sitting down, they breathed a sigh of relief. I have long known that the wicked in the Luoyun Mountains are rampant and we need to be careful at all times. I have been tense the whole day because of this. Xia Zhiqing took out food from a yinyang pouch and sighed while eating. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled slightly. I thought you were very excited today. Oh, this is not the first time I have come to the Luoyun Mountains, but I am slightly excited. Then Xia Zhiqing walked to Bailey Hongzhuang's side. Hongzhuang, you knew better than everyone how excited I was after becoming a special enrollment student. Haha, there are some girls who even admire me. This expedition is of great significance to me. Bailey Hongzhuang tapped her dagger. Even with a little imagination she could see the expressions of the ordinary class students. After all, Xia Zhiqing was the first student to pass the examination to become a special enrollment student. We should rest now. When we go deeper into the Luoyun Mountains tomorrow, it will be much more dangerous than today. Xia Zhiqing nodded. I understand. Wicked beasts are frequent in the night. Although this clearing is at a very advantageous place, something could still happen. To be careful, I'm going to arrange for us to take turns keeping watch at night. How about 2 people? Gong Shaoqing suggested. No problem. Everyone nodded. Since they were a sizable group, they naturally required a guard to be secure. The first one to keep watch will be me and Dongfang. Others can take a rest. Under the arrangement of Gong Shaoqing and Cui Haoyan, the order of keeping vigils was quickly arranged. Bailey Hongzhuang rested against a big tree, slowly closing her eyes. She still was vigilant in her heart and mind. The wicked in the Luoyun Mountains were strong because of the thicker spiritual energy. That is why many cultivators like to come to these mountains. The reason was obviously for cultivating. The night would soon turn to day, so she did not plan to rest. It was better to practice all night. She would feel refreshed the next day. Baisher lay quietly in the arms of Bailey Hongzhuang and closed his eyes as if he was resting. As the Beastmaster, it had a lot of wicked cores each day. There was a lot of latent energy in his body, and it took cultivation to slowly absorb the energy of these. Even Xiao He and Xiao Bai were cultivating. They had spent many years in the Chaos Ring. Cultivation had become their habit. Di Beichan sat next to Bailey Hongzhuang, looking at her soft and beautiful face. Glimpses of tenderness appeared in his eyes as he smiled and closed his eyes. It was silent all around. Only Dong Fengyu and Gong Shaoqing had their eyes wide open as they carefully kept vigil of their surroundings, and nothing moved. When their turn to keep vigil came, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichan also watched the surroundings carefully. The moonlight shined on both of them, casting eerie shadows as they sat next to each other. If Lady is feeling tired, she can take a rest. I can keep watch. Di Beichan's eyes were full of concern, his voice warm and refreshing. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and looked at Di Beichan. It doesn't matter. I'm not tired. I know you can't bear to watch me keep vigil alone. Di Beichan smiled, and the moonlight illuminating his face made him extraordinarily charming. Chapter 426. Lady is wise, and we belong together. Bailey Hongzhuang was startled and glanced at Di Beichan. This guy's narcissism was on another level. I was afraid you would fall asleep and then all the others in the team would be in danger. That would be bad. Hearing this, Di Beichan smiled evilly at Bailey Hongzhuang. There was a hint of affection and laughter in his eyes. Wifey, I know you just don't want to admit it. Bailey Hongzhuang was helpless. Sure enough, she could just not reason with this guy. Suddenly, Bailey Hongzhuang sat up straighter, and the instincts that had been cultivated in her throughout the year made her feel that something was wrong. Intuition is a very magical ability that could not be seen and cannot be touched. It could not be explained by common sense but is actually there. The keen instinct often appeared when the person was on the verge of danger. This type of instinct was more accurate than what is seen by the naked eyes. Under the twilight, Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the dark woods in front of her. The surroundings at this time were particularly dark. The darkness before dawn was sinister. Shortly after observing the surroundings, Bailey Hongzhuang's and Di Beichan's eyes were filled with a touch of seriousness. Lady, you go and inform everyone. Di Beichan whispered. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly and shouted to Xia Zhiqing and the others who were asleep. After Xia Zhiqing and the others heard Bailey Hongzhuang's voice, they were surprised. On the surface, their eyes looked heavy with sleep but their body was ready to go. Bailey Hongzhuang went back to the side of Di Beichan. His handsome face shone with radiant wisdom. How did you determine that there was an aura of menace coming from a human, and not from a wicked beast? He did not miss the fact that she had discovered the danger. Seeing this exemplary show of talent, he could determine that there were still many secrets about his wife. All along, he had felt that his perception of danger was extremely acute, but he had not expected her response to be better than his. This kind of intuition had to be honed, and this alone was enough to judge that her secrets were not simple. Bailey Hongzhuang's red lips curved slightly. At this time, many wicked beasts begin to rest. If they want to attack, they will not choose this time. Now is also a time when humans are most tired and lax. This is a good time for other humans to sneak attack. Don't you think so? The reason why Di Beichan did not directly wake everyone up, but let her remind them, was because he wanted to judge her. Lady is wise. Di Beichan blinked in admiration. We belong with each other. The next moment, Bailey Hongzhuang's brows were knotted. The fact that it was a human and not a wicked was thought-provoking. In the Luoyun Mountains, it was not uncommon for cultivators to get robbed. However, even if the opponents were trying to rob them, they wouldn't have chosen such a large group of people. It would only make things harder for them. As a result, there was only one possibility left. The other party had enmity with them. As soon as this revelation came to light, a man appeared in Bailey Hongzhuang's mind, Yi Hucheng. The last time they were in the Luoyun Mountains, they had clashed with Yi Hucheng. From the attitude of Yi Hucheng, he did not seem to be one to give up easily. This time the blur level task was a hot topic, so Yi Hucheng and the others are very likely to be here. Behind a tall tree, Yi Hucheng led the rest of the gang as they looked at Dong Fengyu and the others, his eyes shining and sharp as hawks, with fierceness in them. Chapter 427. Dealings. Yi Hucheng, the last time we suffered a loss in front of Gong Shaoqing and the others. This time we cannot let them escape. Yi Hucheng was in a haze. His enmity for Gong Shaoqing and that woman was endless. This time he must see for himself. An agonized expression on Gong Shaoqing's face. If it was not for Gong Shaoqing, he would not have been reduced to the level he was at now. Hu Cheng's eyes were full of malice and poison. His eyes locked tightly on the body of Bailey Hongzhuang. If it wasn't for Bailey Hongzhuang, would he have lost an arm? Fortunately, they left early on that day and their lives were saved. However, having a broken arm as a cultivator would greatly reduce your strength and would disable you from performing many martial arts. In other words, his road to cultivation in this life had almost come to an end. As soon as he thought of this, his hatred for Bailey Hongzhuang would start bubbling. Originally, Hu Chang had intended to go back and rest, but he understood well that if he did not personally kill Bailey Hongzhuang, he would not be reconciled in this life, so he still appeared here. This time we have teamed up with the Vicious Flames mercenary group. Even if they are strong, they cannot escape. Hu Cheng's face was bright and his eyes were full of coldness. He wants Bailey Hongzhuang to also suffer that desperate pain. Brother as long as I help you kill these guys, you will join our Vicious Flames mercenary group, right? A sturdy and tall man inquired. This person was the second in command of the Vicious Flames mercenary group, Zhao Han. This mercenary group was one of the 3 major mercenary groups in the nearby area. It had a large number of people and they were very powerful. Few people would dare to mess with them. There were 2 heads in the Vicious Flames mercenary group, Zhao Bing and Zhao Han, both of whom were brothers. These 2 people not only had good cultivation talent, they were also reckless and decisive, because of which they could lead their group to such a reputation in a short period of time. Hu Chang seriously nodded his head and said, "Yes, I need to report this enmity and I will do anything for this. If you help me kill them, I will be a loyal member of Vicious Flames mercenary group in the future." Hearing this, Zhao Han's eyes were filled with satisfaction. He also learned about Hu Chang a few days ago. With Hu Cheng's age, his future accomplishments would be limitless. Therefore, he had wanted to recruit him. Only, he later learned Hu Cheng's situation and acceded to his request. Although the Zhonglan College was indeed a giant in the Luoyun Mountains, as long as they disposed of them neatly and without evidence, Zhonglan College would never know. What's more, even if the Zhonglan College knew of it, they did not have evidence and they would not admit to anything. What could they do? As long as he killed the group of students, he would find a great talent for his mercenary group. This did not seem like a bad trade. "Don't worry, I will help you out." Zhao Han's mouth rose in a cold smile. He immediately waved his hand, and members of the mercenary group stumbled out from behind him. Oh! Subtle footsteps stepped on the fallen leaves, and Bailey Hongzhuang could hear it. The other person had made his move. In the next moment, a black figure flashed like lightning. In the night, this black silhouette was extremely well hidden. Obviously, the other party had prepared well. "Fight!" Zhao Han made the order, and the mercenaries all took out their weapons. Chapter 428 Meeting again. Gong Shaoqing in the chilly and sinister atmosphere of the mountains, the rays of moonlight, made people unconsciously feel a sense of detachment. Zhao Han and the others had planned to sneak attack the group while they were sleeping. Such a thing would no doubt save them some trouble. However, when they rushed to the clearing where Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were, they discovered that the other party had already discovered their ambush. As soon as they appeared, Gong Shaoqing and others held up their weapons. Sure enough, they are students of the Zhonglan College. Their perception is sensitive. Although Zhao Han was somewhat surprised at the quick reaction of Gong Shaoqing and the others, he was not after thinking about it. After all, the special enrollment students of the Zhonglan College would naturally be stronger, otherwise, the fame of the special enrollment class would be embarrassing. Bailey Hongzhuang stared at the stranger in front of her. Had she guessed wrong? She had never seen this guy. Not only Bailey Hongzhuang, but Gong Shaoqing and the others were filled with doubts too. In their impression, they did not have any clashes with this group of people in front of them. Making up their minds, they just treated them as fat pigs to be slaughtered. "Who are you guys?" Gong Shaoqing's face was covered with a layer of ice. "There is no enmity between us. Why are you attacking us so late at night?" Zhao Han's eyes fell on Gong Shaoqing's body. "I really don't have any grudges with you, but since you and my brother have grudges, it is tantamount to having a grudge against me." As soon as they heard these words, everyone's expressions changed slightly, It could be said that the other party had deliberately come to make enemies. In the next moment, Yi Hu Chang and Yin Hai Chang, does anyone remember him? I don't, slowly appeared in front of everyone. Yi Hu Chang. Gong Xiaoqing's voice was hard and cold, his icy eyes glaring at Yi Hu Chang, full of disgust and contempt. Lu Qinyu's face also became pale. She felt like Yi Hu Chang was a nightmare that would keep plaguing her. She had originally thought that after Yi Hu Chang left the Zhonglan College they would not have any more intersections. She never thought that Yi Hu Chang would keep appearing in front of them like a ghost. Obviously, as long as the grudges between them were not settled, Yi Hu Chang would keep following them. Thinking of this, Lu Qinyu's heart started panicking, and her face turned even uglier. Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but look behind her at Lu Qinyu. Sure enough, she was panicking. As cultivators, they highly valued pride. The more Lu Qinyu retreated, the more Yi Hu Chang would not let her go. Gong Xiaoqing, we meet again. Yi Hu Chang gave a sneer. The moment he saw Gong Xiaoqing, the undisguised hatred in his eyes overflowed. Seeing Yi Hu Chang's countenance, the faces of Cui Haoyan and Zhang Yufeng also changed a bit. Yi Hu Chang's past was known to them. For Yi Hu Chang's character, they had no words to say. In fact, the reason why Yi Hu Chang had presently come to this stage was due to past incidents. Although he himself was not guiltless, it was undeniable that some part of the reason was Lu Qinyu. Yi Hu Chang, you really are a ghost. Dong Fengyu's usually genial face disappeared in an instant. The lesson you were taught last time wasn't enough? Yi Hu Chang burned with fury. If not for the sudden appearance of Bailey Hongzhuang last time, could you really have escaped? Chapter 429 Trouble. Vicious Flames mercenary group. Hearing the words of Yi Hu Chang, everyone's eyes could not help but fall on Bailey Hongzhuang's body. A trace of deep strangeness appeared in the eyes of Cui Haoyan and Zhang Yufeng. The last time when Yi Hu Chang appeared, the situation actually changed due to the strength of Bailey Hongzhuang. For a long time, they had only known that Bailey Hongzhuang's skills were superb. Di Beichan was full of praise for the strength of his wife, or else how could they have become special enrollment students in the college? What's more, from the time he had seen Bailey Hongzhuang cultivating at the waterfall, he had known that the strength of his wifey would not be weak. Talented cultivators were not necessarily strong, but hard-working cultivators were not weak. Yin Haicheng's vicious eyes glared at Bailey Hongzhuang. If a glare full of hatred could kill a person, he would have already killed Bailey Hongzhuang many times. Yi Hu Chang, if you leave now, we won't have to fight, Cui Haoyan said slowly. Once we start fighting, it will be of no use to either of us. Listening to this, Yi Hu Chang sneered. You guys have a good look. Now we have more people than you will lose. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the situation in front of her. There were 15 mercenaries from the Vicious Flames mercenary group, plus Yi Hu Chang and Yin Hai Chang, so the other side had a total of 17 people. In contrast, there were only 9 people in their group. In terms of the number of people, the other party had an absolute advantage. Cui Haoyan's brows rose. Even if you have the advantage of numbers, numbers do not represent strength. You were previously a student of Zhonglan College. You should be well aware of the strength of the people of Zhonglan College's special enrollment students. His words made an unpleasant expression to appear on Zhao Yihan's face. The words of Cui Haoyan clearly insinuated that the strength of their mercenary group was weak. All of you in the school is just a group of weak young masters. Our Vicious Flames mercenary group is made of real fighters. You say we are weak? Zhao Yihan was angry, his eyes icy. In his view, they were powerful mercenaries who had killed many and faced life and death situations which hardened them. They were stronger than these young masters who enjoyed life with ease. After hearing the name of the Vicious Flames mercenary group, Gong Xiaoqing's face changed a bit. They had a certain understanding of Vicious Flames mercenary group. They were able to suddenly rise to the top among the various mercenary groups, which proved the strength of the Vicious Flames mercenary group. I did not expect Yi Hu Chang to have ties with the Vicious Flames mercenary group. Dong Fengyu frowned. The base of the Vicious Flames mercenary group was not far from the base of the Luoyun Mountains. Once a conflict arose, it would be impossible to avoid trouble. If you know about the Vicious Flames mercenary group, you should be clear about your own situation. Looking at the ugly expression of Gong Xiaoqing, Yi Hu Chang's heart cannot help but feel ecstatic. Generally, Gong Shaoqing was expressionless. Now his cold mask had been completely torn off. Gong Shaoqing, I will give you two choices. Hu Chang slowly put up a finger. First, you kneel down and apologize to me. Then hand over Lu Qinyu to me. Then these affronts will be written off. As he said this, Gong Shaoqing and others' faces were full of rage. Hu Chang was honestly too much. Chapter 430 Hands-on. Lu Qinyu's face turned pale, her delicate features appearing even more tender and affectionate. She understands that Hu Chang had long since held bitter hatred for her. Once she falls into the hands of Hu Chang, she would be tortured inhumanly. Hu Chang's cold eyes fell on the body of Lu Qinyu. Looking at Lu Qinyu, who seemed on the verge of crying, he felt very satisfied. Once, he was deceived by the delicate appearance of Lu Qinyu. Now he would destroy these features himself. The second is that you all die and Lu Qinyu still ends up at our mercy. Hu Chang's lips arced in a sly smile as if he knew that he had already won. He would take Lu Qinyu and make her suffer. You keep dreaming. Gong Shaoqing's knotted brows revealed his anger and disgust. He felt that this Hu Chang was really repulsive. Yan Haicheng's eyes fell on the body of Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang, for what you have done to me, I will not let you off. Hearing this, the corners of Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved ever so slightly, revealing a trace of evilness and pride. If you had the ability, you would not have lost your hand. The last time I had only just started and you lost an arm. This time I won't go so easy on you. Bailey Hongzhuang felt too lazy to waste time on the other party. Although the number of opponents was far greater than them, the end result had yet to be decided. What's more, there were the two teachers overseeing them. What did they have to be afraid of? They could directly fight. Xia Zhiqing's mouth was open wide. Bailey Hongzhuang was really not like the average person. After hearing the words of Bailey Hongzhuang, the heavy emotions that Cui Haoyin and the others felt disappeared. Bailey Hongzhuang was right. Since the contradiction between the two parties was irreconcilable, they would fight. Yan Haicheng's face was a bit ugly. He had intended to take advantage of this opportunity to goad Bailey Hongzhuang. He had not expected that she would be so arrogant. Does Bailey Hongzhuang even know the situation she was in right now? The eyes of Hu Chang, who was looking at Bailey Hongzhuang, also changed a bit. The last time Bailey Hongzhuang had been a considerable variable. This time too, Bailey Hongzhuang's performance was completely different from other people. This woman was really not simple. In fact, Hu Chang and the others had overlooked a person. That was Di Bei-chan, who was standing beside Bailey Hongzhuang. From the beginning to the end, Di Bei-chan had not said a word. Not because he was too afraid, but he was simply too lazy to speak. These few jumping clowns dared to be so presumptuous. They were making a big joke of themselves. Since you don't know when to shut up, I will make you feel regret. Hu Cheng's face was dyed with wrath and his gaze crossed to Zhao Yihan. Zhao Yihan nodded slightly, waving his hands he firmly, and coldly said, "Hands on." As Zhao Yihan's voice fell, the mercenaries behind him clasped their weapons without hesitation and rushed towards Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. The atmosphere suddenly became tense, and a quietness spread. Not far away, Lu Huayan and Fu Hongbo were looking at this scene. Their expressions also changed slightly. It seems this is not the first time that Hu Chang has had a conflict with Gong Shaoqing. Fu Hongbo said slowly. Lu Huayan glanced at Fu Hongbo. Now in this situation, should we interfere? Chapter 431 I didn't want to see you. We don't need to act unless it is very dangerous. Now that such a tricky situation has appeared, I believe that our students will be able to persist for a while. Lu Huayan nodded slightly. This had always been their intention. There was nothing wrong with the words of Zhao Yihan. Compared to mercenaries who were always facing dangerous situations, the students of Tsonglan College had much lesser experience. That is why the academy let them go out on this mission. In the battle of life and death, having guts to spill blood and courage is the most important. In the Shangxian continent, it was not uncommon for the young inexperienced masters to die at the hands of weak but bloodthirsty mercenaries. If their students gave up at the very face of danger, then these students were not worth grooming. Sometimes a life and death experience could be of great benefit as it could cause a surge in strength. Bailey Hongzhuang is indeed different. Lu Huaiyan's words were full of appreciation. It was worth trying so hard to make her come to our college. Fu Hongbo nodded in agreement. She rejected us. Actually, her courage can be easily seen. If people were ridiculed all year round, their personalities would become weak and fragile. Bailey Hongzhuang can be considered a rare type. In that environment, she not only did not lose her morale but even had such great courage. I have always felt optimistic about such students. Lu Huaiyan's mouth curved in a smile. Originally he had not thought that going to Fengbo country's imperial city would have any gains but did not expect they would have such a huge profit. Fu Hongbo looked at Di Beichun pensively, slowly saying, Di Beichun seems even more mysterious. From the moment Yi Hucheng and the others appeared, his expression has not changed at all. His expression is almost like, he does not care. Lu Huaiyan shared his views with Fu Hongbo. Yes. Fu Hongbo nodded. Generally, when someone encountered a situation like this, they would be nervous or worried. But Di Beichun was very indifferent. His confidence cannot be a bluff. He must naturally have a certain idea or measure. Lu Huaiyan smiled faintly. There are always some geniuses in the world that could not be comprehended. Yi Hucheng directly faced Gong Shaoqing. He had always wanted to compete with Gong Shaoqing. This time he would surely be victorious. In just a few moments, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others already had opponents facing them. Yan Haicheng stood in front of Bailey Hongzhuang, his face full of resentment at seeing her beautiful face. Bailey Hongzhuang, we meet again. Yan Haicheng smirked. Bailey Hongzhuang shrugged in indifference. I didn't want to see you. Yan Haicheng turned stiff. Hearing such an eloquent retort, he couldn't form a single sentence. Master, do we need to help? The eyes of the three little beasts flashed with excitement. The guy in front of them. A few slaps from them would be enough to teach him a lesson. Bailey Hongzhuang shook her head slightly. You can't act rashly. If you are noticed by other people, it won't be good. Xiao Hai and Xiao Bai were her trump cards. She won't use them so easily. Although the situation in front of them was tricky, it had not reached a stage of danger. What's more, this guy in front of her was not worth her time. The last time she hadn't pursued him, but this time she would not let him escape. Chapter 432. Domineering Di Beichun. When they heard the words of Bailey Hongzhuang, Xiao Hai and Xiao Bai felt helpless. It seemed that they would not be able to show off their skills once again. Baisher was now crouching on the shoulder of Bailey Hongzhuang, smart eyes taking in everything. Xiao Hai and Xiao Bai could not come out because of their strange shape. If they looked a bit more like usual contractual beasts, the owner would have had no problem with letting them fight. Whether you wanted to see me or not, today you will die. Yan Haicheng looked gloomy and dark like a thundercloud. He liked seeing beauties but he hated seeing Bailey Hongzhuang. The facts had made him aware that he should not be deceived by Bailey Hongzhuang's beauty. Bailey Hongzhuang was not a good woman at all. Bailey Hongzhuang had her hands on her hips as she looked at Gong Shaoqing and the others who were fighting. There was a bit of contempt and impatience as she looked at him. I said I will get rid of you. I don't want to accompany you for long. She wondered where Yi Hucheng had found Yan Haicheng, this idiot. Once again he was beaten till he was black and blue, and she looked at the people around her. In fact, he had not been an opponent of Bailey Hongzhuang even with an arm. What more now that he had lost one? I just wanted you to say a few more words before you die. Yan Haicheng insisted on his strength as he waved. Kill her. His voice fell and two mercenaries behind Yan Haicheng came before Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes became darker. From the breath of the two mercenaries, she could determine the strength of the two. One was Mysterious Ian middle stage and the other was a Mysterious Ian late stage cultivator. It seemed that the strength of the mercenary group was really not simple. Bailey Hongzhuang, next year, today will be your death anniversary. Yan Haicheng smirked. He would look on as Bailey Hongzhuang died at the hands of these mercenaries. Not waiting for Bailey Hongzhuang's reply, a slight voice sounded, and then the sound of a heavy object falling came. Boom! Bailey Hongzhuang turned and saw that Yan Haicheng was lying on the ground, blood flowing out from his throat. Obviously, even if Yan Haicheng had screamed out loud, it would have been too late. He had already died. The dark phoenix eyes were full of doubt. Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but look at the other side from where Di Beichun winked at her. Needless to say, the person who had shot just now was Di Bei-chan. Bailey Hongzhuang grinned warmly. Yin Haicheng had been too noisy, so straightforwardly he solved him. Xiao He and Xiao Bai could not help but give a thumbs up. Di Bei-chan was really domineering. This attack had been really neat. However, the two mercenaries in front of Bailey Hongzhuang were dumbfounded. What is this ghost? They didn't see anybody at all. How did Yin Haicheng die? The two mercenaries had to protect him. The two people were dazed, and it was enough for Bailey Hongzhuang. The power in her body surging in a flash, she held a sword in her hand, directly thrusting it towards the two people. The two mercenaries felt they were in danger, and could no longer be bothered with Yin Haicheng. They clenched their hands on their weapons and turned to Bailey Hongzhuang. Oh! The sound of iron cutting through air sounded, and Bailey Hongzhuang transformed into a shadow. Her figure was like a ghost. Even if the sneak attack had succeeded, the mercenaries would not have won. Chapter 433. You are too naive. The two mercenaries only saw a red figure flickering around them like a shadow, none of their attacks yielding the effect they wanted, and their faces turned a bit ugly. Bailey Hongzhuang was only at the mysterious Ian middle stage. One of them was equal to her in strength, and the other was even stronger than Bailey Hongzhuang. Now that the two had teamed up to take down Bailey Hongzhuang, it turned out that they were not even opponent of Bailey Hongzhuang. Is this a joke? Stormbreaker. A dominating force of Yuan Li emerged from Bailey Hongzhuang's body. The tyrannical force directly hit one of the mercenaries. According to her thoughts, fighting with two people was a bit tricky. Not to mention that these two had only been fighting for a short while, but they had very good cooperation. Since they cannot be defeated at the same time, they could only be dealt with one by one. Sure enough, the man at the mysterious Ian middle stage was panicking at the martial arts displayed by Bailey Hongzhuang. His hands came forward to ward off against it as he displayed a martial art. Boom! The two martial arts met in midair, and the mighty power from it exploded in an instant. The man stepped back a few steps, his face flushed. His mouth was filled with metallic sweetness, but he swallowed hard. Obviously, this collision had caused the man to suffer from internal injuries. Bailey Hongzhuang looked indifferent, but she was a little proud of herself. Mercenaries walked on the edge of life and death. Although their fighting experience was stronger than that of young masters, they also have a weakness, that is, their cultivation resources cannot be compared to that of young masters. Her Stormbreaker was a yellow middle stage martial art, and the opponent's martial arts was just at the beginning of the yellow level, so when the two collided, it was needless to say what would happen. Seeing his companion hurt, the cultivator at mysterious Ian late stage rushed towards Bailey Hongzhuang, a bit of anger in his eyes. You dare to hurt my brother. I will not let you go. Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at that person coldly. Then it is all right for you to kill me and not for me to hurt you? What you think is really too naive. Really? The man said coldly, you cultivation stage will not be my opponent. You are just blabbering now. Bailey Hongzhuang sneered, her face displaying her contempt. Since it is an opponent, there was no room for mercy. The next moment, Bailey Hongzhuang disappeared from where she was as she turned into a shadow, appearing behind the man. There were swords in her hand and she did not plan to waste too much time on this. Oh! The man's stature moved as he tried to move, but he still received a huge wound on his left arm. Looking at the wound on his arm, the man's eyes hardened. If he had been half a second late, he feared that he would have lost his life. All along he had been very disdainful of students in the school, thinking that they only depended on family resources to cultivate. If there are no family resources, they can do nothing at all. However, at the moment when he saw Bailey Hongzhuang, he could not help but change his mind. Bailey Hongzhuang's cultivation stage was lower than hers, but fighting power was stronger than him. This was enough to prove her strength. During the fighting between Bailey Hongzhuang and that man Dong Fangyu, and the others also fought in full swing with the other mercenaries. Gong Shaoqing and Yi Hucheng were still fighting each other, and Dong Fangyu showed no signs of defeat. Chapter 434. The two mercenaries. Although Xia Zhiqing was slightly lacking, she and Bai Junyu jointly dealt with three mercenaries, as they supported each other. There was naturally nothing to be said about the understanding of Cui Hao Yen and Zhang Yunfeng. Instead, Lu Qinyu was unable to withstand the attack on her side and was in danger. When Yi Hucheng appeared, Lu Qinyu was in a chaotic position, and she could not fully display her strength. Di Beichan met with Zhao Yihan, the second head of the Vicious Flames mercenary group. However, Zhao Yihan's heart was a stormy sea. Originally, in his opinion, Gong Shaoqing was simply not strong enough. As long as Yi Hucheng blocked Gong Shaoqing and the others blocked Dongfang Yu and Cui Haoyan, they had won. However, he had not expected that these guys would be so difficult to deal with. It was reasonable to say that with his strength being at Mysterious Ian late stage, the other party would simply not be his opponent. Unfortunately, the guy in front of him completely blocked his offensive. Not only that, no matter how he moves, the guy only resisted indifferently. Instinctively, he had a feeling that the strength of Di Beichan had completely surpassed his, which is why he was so poised. He had always been the stronger party, but now he had met someone far stronger. Since Di Beichan's strength was so much stronger than his, he would have been defeated directly. Instead, he was being played like a cat or dog. He was the second in command of the Vicious Flames mercenary group. He wanted to get rid of Di Beichan, but he could not do it at all. At this moment, he felt extremely regretful. If he had known earlier, he would have never chosen to fight Di Beichan. Isn't this trapping a person? Boom! The sound of a heavy object falling sounded, and Bailey Hongzhuang slowly pulled the sharp sword in her hand. Looking at the corpse on the ground, the expression of the man in front of her became ugly. He never imagines that Bailey Hongzhuang could actually kill him. When he looked up again and saw Bailey Hongzhuang, his expression was completely different. Even a cultivator at Mysterious Ian late stage died in the hands of Bailey Hongzhuang. He was not her opponent at all. The eyes of Bailey Hongzhuang glinted with coldness, and the guy in front of her blinked in fear. This man had already given up the idea of fighting. In the next moment, the man ran away in an instant as he did not have the courage to fight Bailey Hongzhuang. Seeing the man flee, Bailey Hongzhuang did not give chase. According to her judgment, the mercenary had no intention of fighting. Even if he continued to stay here, he would not be able to fight at all. She turned a blind eye and looked at the people around her who were fighting. Xia Zhiqing and Bai Junyu had a good understanding. They naturally did not need help in Gong Shaoqing, and the others were fully capable of coping. In the end, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes fell on Lu Qinyu. At the moment, Lu Qinyu was facing an attack by a mercenary in the Mysterious Ian late stage. After discovering the strength of the mercenary, Bailey Hongzhuang was surprised. The strength of the mercenaries was indeed good. Although these mercenaries were older than they are, and will not have a strong future in cultivation, but among mercenaries, this strength was already very good. No wonder the mercenary group was able to become one of the three major groups in a short period of time. Chapter 435 Spicy. I like it. After analyzing Lu Qinyu's stand, Bailey Hongzhuang shook her head. Quite logically, even though both her and the mercenary were at Mysterious Ian late stage, and Lu Qinyu's lack of experience in battles, if she had relied on her level of martial arts, Lu Qinyu would not have been forced backwards step by step. She could have had the upper hand, but the opportunity was now lost. It seemed that Lu Qinyu had no way to fight back against the other side. Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly felt that Lu Qinyu's psychological tolerance and character would be more appropriate for becoming an alchemist. Compared to becoming a cultivator, Lu Qinyu obviously had a more promising path as a pharmacist. In the next moment, Bailey Hongzhuang appeared next to Lu Qinyu. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang appear, Lu Qinyu could not help but be relieved, but she was also slightly embarrassed. The last time Yi Hucheng and his lackeys appeared, it had been Bailey Hongzhuang who helped her defeat her opponent. In fact, her strength was even higher than Bailey Hongzhuang, but she still needed Bailey Hongzhuang's help. She was really embarrassed. If she could choose, she does not want Bailey Hongzhuang to help her. After all, as a proud woman, she had a certain degree of self-esteem in her heart. However, the reality was the reality. She did not know why she turned weak whenever they appeared. Yi Zhao looked at the beautiful appearance of Bailey Hongzhuang, a feeling of desire appearing in his eyes. I did not expect that my blessings would be so good. To deal with a beautiful woman, I did not expect to have a beautiful woman again. After listening to Yi Zhao's words, Bailey Hongzhuang's face turned frosty. This man was really annoying. Lu Qinyu looked helplessly at Bailey Hongzhuang. She was really struggling to find words. Yi Zhao had some complacency, but he really liked beautiful people. Whether it was Lu Qinyu or Bailey Hongzhuang, they were both rare beauties. The women among the mercenaries did not hold a candle. Bailey Hongzhuang's mouth curved in an enchanting smile, as she laughed, leaving Yi Zhao stunned. But Bailey Hongzhuang's next words left Yi Zhao's face ugly to the extreme. What good blessings are you talking about? Having to face me, it must be your misfortune. Yi Zhao's face changed a bit, but then he calmed his mind and smiled again. Little spicy, I like that too. Idiot. Bailey Hongzhuang was simply too lazy to care for this guy. This kind of brain guy, even the strength was not very good. Next time, Bailey Hongzhuang directly lifted her long sword, as she unhesitatingly stabbed towards the guy. Such a beautiful person even has the guts to attack me first. Yi Zhao smiled, not putting Bailey Hongzhuang's attack in his eyes. If he saw how his other comrade at the mysterious Ian late stage had died in the hands of Bailey Hongzhuang, he would no longer dare to be this carefree. For Yi Zhao's mistake of underestimating her, Bailey Hongzhuang did not care. She never cared for the enemy because she could save more effort that way. Stormbreaker. Bailey Hongzhuang barked coldly, the martial arts slamming towards Yi Zhao. Chapter 436 Amazing. Bailey Hongzhuang, feeling the energy of Stormbreaker, Yi Zhao's expression changed in a few moments. From the energy fluctuations of the martial arts, he could clearly feel that this was a yellow-level middle-grade martial arts. Breaking the clouds. Yi Zhao's body quickly surged, sharp energy coming out from him like a razor's blade. The fluctuations distracting everyone. When the energy of his martial arts erupted, the two collided in a storm. In an instant, clouds of smoke began to blow up as yellow dust covered the sky, obscuring everyone's vision. Yi Zhao retreated, a faint glowing light appearing in his eyes. Although it was a martial arts only at the bottom of the yellow tier, he had been practicing it for a long time. Even if the level of Bailey Hongzhuang's martial arts was stronger than him, her cultivation level could not compare. Therefore, in this round of competition, the winner must be him. With your strength, you are not my opponent at all. Yi Zhao smirked, looking proudly at the other side where the flower-like beauty, Lu Qinyu, stood, an indescribable pride emerging in his heart. Listening to Yi Zhao's words, Lu Qinyu's face became pale. Did Bailey Hongzhuang really get seriously hurt while fighting Yi Zhao? Could she have fallen? Little beauty, at the moment, no one can save you. If you beg me, maybe I will spare you. Yi Zhao walked proudly towards Lu Qinyu. Compared to the hard-headed Bailey Hongzhuang, Lu Qinyu, who was unable to rebel, could give him far greater pleasure. You keep dreaming, Lu Qinyu said in a cold tone, but her slightly trembling voice revealed her lack of confidence. Suddenly, Lu Qinyu's face changed, because she was shocked to find that she could see Bailey Hongzhuang's figure in the gradually setting smoke, her stature clearly behind Yi Zhao. Oh! A slightly surprised voice sounded, and Yi Zhao's eyes were etched with an even deeper surprise. He slowly looked down at his chest, where the bloody tip of a sword was revealed, and severe pain spread throughout his body. Laughable! Bailey Hongzhuang relentlessly withdrew her sword. This guy must be happy that the fight ended early. Yi Zhao turned his head, looking at the unforgivable appearance of Bailey Hongzhuang. He was completely stunned. Scum like you, go to hell sooner, so as to not harm other people. Bailey Hongzhuang looked coldly at Yi Zhao, as she mercilessly left, as if staying there further would insult her, and looking at him would make her sick. Looking at the imposing and powerful stance of Bailey Hongzhuang, shock appeared in Lu Qinyu's heart. She finally understood why the two mentors had insisted on recruiting Bailey Hongzhuang, even after being rejected by her. The strength of Bailey Hongzhuang is really applaudable. Lu Huaiyan's eyes looked admiringly at Bailey Hongzhuang's decisive nature. Few would hesitate before mercilessly killing another. It was reasonable to say that students her age would be unable to do it. However, Bailey Hongzhuang had no problem at all. Not only that, she was very calm even when engaged in battle, and she was able to completely display her strength. Fu Hongbo's eyes shined brightly. Compared to her, Lu Qinyu's ability to face the enemy is not good. Lu Huaiyan nodded. In fact, all students would face problems similar to Lu Qinyu's without adequate experience. Bailey Hongzhuang is amazing. Chapter 437 Wifey. You are strong. A wide smile slowly emerged on Lu Huaiyan's face. He was very pleased to see her performance as a mentor. The mental fortitude of Bailey Hongzhuang is very strong. Just like when we saw her in the royal hunting game the first time when she was surrounded by the wicked wolves, even experienced cultivators could lose their calm and be unable to do it. It's true that Bailey Hongzhuang is indeed a rare fighting genius. Fu Hongbo's face also revealed a smile. Although the cultivation level of Bailey Hongzhuang was not strong enough, it was only a question of time before it would be. The next moment, Fu Hongbo's eyes fell on the body of Di Beichan. Not only Bailey Hongzhuang, Di Beichan is also a genius. Lu Huaiyan and Fu Hongbo glanced at each other. The two really deserved to be husband and wife. The people of Fengbo Country's imperial city had paired Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichan together as a joke. One was the waist of the general's manor and the other was a disabled prince. Let's put them together. After seeing the way Bailey Hongzhuang encountered the man while fighting, Di Beichan made short work of Zhao Han. In a few moments he was by the side of Bailey Hongzong. Wifey, your strength is really good. His star-like eyes flashed with admiration. In the time he had not been by her side, the strength of Bailey Hongzhuang had progressed rapidly. Hearing that, Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at Di Beichan, her gaze deep. Compared to you, my strength is far behind. With her current strength, she could not judge the strength of Di Beichan at all. This proved that the disparity between their strengths was large. Di Beichan smiled and said, "What will wifey do next? Since they came here, let us solve this problem fast." After Zhao Han had been bested by Di Beichan, his face quickly became pale. Di Beichan's move seemed simple and powerful, but he could still feel the burning pain in his body. Apparently, he had suffered multiple internal injuries. At the time, he discovered that their mercenary group had already lost 2 members, and both the 2 mercenaries were at mysterious Ian Lat stage. As cultivators, even though they were only a mercenary group, the death of a member could cause a huge loss. He did not expect that now 2 of them would have died. Taking advantage of Di Beichan and Bailey Hongzhuang's relaxed stances, he suddenly found that the original situation had now tipped in their favor. Just ready to fight again, Zhao Han felt pain rushing through his body. Obviously, Di Beichan's move had hidden secrets. He was afraid that he would be unable to use Yuan Li for a few hours. Xia Zhiqing and the others who were still fighting saw Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichan's awesome power. As a result, their morale rose sharply, and the speed of their movements increased. On the other hand, the mercenaries of the Vicious Flame mercenary group could not help but feel a trace of fear. The 2 heads of the mercenary team had already suffered serious injuries. As long as Di Beichan started fighting again, they would not stand a chance. Oh! As Dongfang you killed a mercenary, Zhao Han's face became dark to the extreme. Stop! Zhao Han suddenly shouted. When they heard Zhao Han's orders, the mercenaries of the Vicious Flames group retreated to Zhao Han's side. Yi Hucheng frowned and looked at Zhao Han. He did not understand why Zhao Han had suddenly issued such an order. Chapter 438 Retreat. Vicious Flames mercenaries. Brother Zhao, what are you doing? Yi Hucheng asked in a loud voice. Zhao Han was also struggling in his heart. He had promised Yi Hucheng that he would kill Gong Shaoqing and the others, but he had never thought that the Gong Shaoqing and other strength would be so powerful. The clash had resulted in 4 of their members dying. If this trend of defeat kept repeating, and they continued to fight, they would only have more losses. They had lost 3 members who were at the mysterious Ian late stage. They would not be able to bear any further losses. If they continued to fight, it is likely they would be annihilated. Then it would be too late for regret. Yi Hucheng was a cultivator at the mysterious Ian middle stage. He naturally wanted to recruit him into their mercenary group. However, their defeat was now inevitable and the outcome could not be changed. If he continued to let everyone fight, more of his brothers would undoubtedly die. Brother Yi, we will withdraw for today, Zhuihan said. Their predictions were wrong. Before, he had thought that Gong Shaoqing was the strongest cultivator amidst their ranks. As long as Yi Hucheng kept Gong Shaoqing occupied, they would win without a doubt. After the fight, he discovered that the strongest one was not Gong Shaoqing, but Di Beichan. Even if he had fought Di Beichan for quite some while, he could still not find out the true strength of Di Beichan. Obviously, the moment Di Beichun started fighting, their group had already lost. Why? Yi Hucheng asked, unwilling. He had managed to get to this point, how could he easily give up? We have to go back, Zhao Yihan said with seriousness. They couldn't succeed today, but as long as they prepared more, it would not be impossible for them to succeed. Gong Shaoqing and the others looked at Zhao Yihan and the others with icy eyes. Zhao Yihan's actions did not surpass their expectations and made them feel relieved. Yi Hucheng saw that Zhao Yihan's mind had been made up. Although he was unwilling in his heart, he was helpless. After all, one person alone could not be an opponent of Gong Shaoqing and the others. Seeing Yi Hucheng agree, Zhao Yihan was also relieved. Waving his hand, he ordered, "We are going." The members of the Vicious Flames mercenary group had long resigned themselves. The moment they hear the command of Zhao Yihan, they quickly retreated. That speed, it was much faster than when they rushed here. We won't chase them? Xia Zhiqing saw that no one made any moves, and could not help but ask. Gong Shaoqing shook his head. They have so many people fleeing everywhere. It doesn't make sense for us to chase after them. Even if they did catch up, they would only kill 1 or 2 members of the Vicious Flames mercenary group. What was the point in that? We will regroup for now and continue our expedition. The crowd nodded. The miasma forest was the most important goal of their trip. It can be said that Yi Hucheng will not easily abandon his pursuit. From now on we have to be even more careful. They can come trouble us any time. Di Beichun reminded. Although he did not know what exactly happened between Yi Hucheng, Gong Shaoqing and Lu Qinyu, in his opinion, Yi Hucheng and Gong Shaoqing were irreconcilable. In other words, as long as Yi Hucheng does not die, the contradiction between him and Gong Shaoqing would continue. Gong Shaoqing's eyes flashed with a touch of complex light. He too understood Di Beichun's words. Chapter 439 Unwilling. Yi Hucheng. They all knew that Yi Hucheng's departure would only be temporary, but considering the current events, they had no alternative. Unless they had a way to defeat the entire Vicious Flames mercenary group, they should now continue walking towards their destination, since time was short. They were now deep in the forests and could not afford wasting time. Looking at the limp bodies of the fallen mercenaries on the ground, the gazes of the people looking at Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichun changed a bit. They all understood that the reason why the Vicious Flames mercenary group had retreated was entirely because of Bailey Hongzhuang's and Di Beichun's efforts. If it were not for them, then the fight would not have ended in a short time. At this moment, everyone felt that Di Beichun and Bailey Hongzhuang were a match made in heaven, both extraordinary and enchanting. This thick stench of blood will easily attract wicked. I think we should now go, and then we can later rest when we find a suitable place. What do you think? Dong Fengyu was concerned and asked for everyone's views. Everyone nodded in agreement. Wicked were most perceptive to the smell of blood. They should really not stay in this place any longer. Immediately afterward, the team reorganized themselves and set off in the direction of the miasma forest. The retreat of Zhao Yihan and the others filled Yi Hucheng with reluctance and resentment. He could not go against Zhao Yihan's decision. He could only lament that his own strength was not good enough. If he could have killed Gong Shaoqing, this incident would not have blown to this proportion. After running for some distance and finding that Gong Shaoqing and the others had not yet caught up, Yi Hucheng stopped. Leader Zhao. Firstly, I would like to thank you for your favor. I will go now, Yi Hucheng said. Seeing that Yi Hucheng was ready to leave, Zhao Yihan quickly said, Brother Yi, please wait. Yi Hucheng lifted his eyes, his face revealing his helplessness and determination. Leader Zhao, I will think of ways to deal with Gong Shaoqing. I will remember this friendship. If I succeed, I will of course come to join your Vicious Flames mercenary group, if at the time the mercenary group will still have me. Zhao Yihan patted Yi Hucheng's shoulder. Brother Yi, what are you talking about? Since I promised to help you, I will naturally not let them go. Hearing this, Yi Hucheng's eyes filled with hope, unable to help himself from asking, Really? Are you really willing to continue helping me? Zhao Yihan nodded. Naturally, it is true. You must first listen to what I have to say. Yi Hucheng was beaming as he looked at the other man. Zhao Yihan was cold and decisive, and with his strength, killing Gong Shaoqing would not be too difficult. I now have a measure of Gong Shaoqing's strength. Currently, our strength is not enough to fight them, and if we go back to look for our people, I'm afraid it would be too late. Hu Cheng nodded in agreement. Even if the base of the Vicious Flames mercenary group was not far from here, it would still take one day to go back. When they came back, Di Beichan and the others would have long disappeared. Then what should we do? Hu Cheng frowned, so to say they did not have a chance of defeating them this time. Zhao Yihan's eyes glimmered with pride. Such opponents can only be defeated using wits and dirty tricks. We are now among the top mercenary groups, we naturally have our own methods. Chapter 440 Zhao Yihan's means. Hu Cheng listened to Zhao Yihan's words, and the more he listened, the brighter his entire person became. It turned out that the Vicious Flames mercenary group had a sort of special liquid which was both colorless and odorless, making it impossible for others to detect. The liquid had a magical effect. It could attract the attention of wicked. If the beast was one from the deeper reaches of the Luoyun Mountains, it would be a nightmare. It was due to this liquid that the Vicious Flames mercenary group was able to rise high in the ranks in such a short period of time. It even made the other mercenary groups unwilling to deal with them, making them untouchable. Because this liquid made people completely invincible. Previously, Zhao Yihan had arranged for mercenaries to smear this liquid onto the clothes of Gong Shaoqing and the others. That is to say, Gong Shaoqing and the others will now be frequently attacked by wicked? Hu Cheng's words could not hide his excitement. This was good news for him. He had not expected the second head of the Vicious Flames mercenary group to be this perceptive. Zhao Yihan nodded his head with a smile. Yes, today they will be frequently attacked by wicked. As a result, a lot of their energy will be consumed and their combat effectiveness will be greatly reduced. Not only that, wicked were nocturnal and frequently appeared during that time. At that time, as they went into the deeper reaches of Luoyun Mountains, they would be attacked many times by wicked. We will wait patiently. We will wait until they are exhausted. And then it will be easy as pie to win. Hu Cheng repeatedly nodded, his face full of admiration. Leader Zhao, you are really wise. Since we have planned what to do, we should prepare a bit more. Zhao Yihan waved his hand, his expression changing to one of gloom. We, the brothers of Vicious Flames mercenary group, can't die. Listening to this, Hu Cheng's eyes were filled with even more hatred. Previously, he had only hated Gong Shaoqing and Lu Qinyu, but now he added Bailey Hongzhuang into his list of despicable people. If it hadn't been for Bailey Hongzhuang, as early as the last time, his strategy would have been successful. This time they had failed again because of the interference of Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others made their way to the Miasma Forest according to the route marked on the map. The Miasma Forest was located at the center of the Luoyun mountain ranges. Although they were still a considerable distance from reaching the center, they had met wicked which were extremely strong. After killing a wicked again, Cui Haoyan took out the demon crystal, cleaning it, and then threw it towards Baisher, who was lazing in Bailey Hongzhuang's arms. In this short period of time, the people in the team got to know that Baisher loved to eat demon crystals. Although it was not clear why Baisher, who was still very young, could swallow demon crystals so easily, since Bailey Hongzhuang did not object, there should naturally not be any problem. At that moment, everyone was aware of the reason why Bailey Hongzhuang purchased so many demon crystals. They were all for the little guy whose rate of demon crystal consumption was very quick. Cui Haoyan had always been grateful to Bailey Hongzhuang for saving his life, so he directly gave Baisher all the demon crystals he collected. Baisher caught the demon crystal with excitement. It then decided that coming to the Luoyun Mountains was its favorite thing to do. There appeared to demon crystals everywhere. The depths of the Luoyun Mountains are really unusual. The frequency of wicked is so high. Xia Zhiqing's face was full of emotion. Chapter 441 Wifey, need my help? Listening to Xia Zhiqing's words, Bailey Hongzhuang's and others' brows wrinkled. If they thought about it, the frequency of wicked attacks today was really too high. They had also fought wicked the previous day, but the number had been few. The number of attacks today was a lot larger than yesterday's. Although they had now entered the true depths of the mountains and it was inevitable for the number of encounters with wicked increasing, the number right now was too exaggerated. They had been this deep before, but the number of wicked had been far from the current number. Suddenly there are too many wicked, this is weird. Her dark phoenix-like eyes flashed with contemplation. Bailey Hongzhuang thought of the reason why the number of attacks was so abnormally high. She had a kind of intuition that things were not as simple as they thought. Master, when you were fighting with mercenaries of that mercenary group, I discovered something very strange, Xiao Bai suddenly said. Bailey Hongzhuang's brows wrinkled even more as she frowned. What weird thing? I found that they were very keen to touch your clothes when they were fighting with you. Xiao Bai's voice was filled with doubts. Since they had not fought, they could only watch on as others fought. In the process of watching the fight, it noticed this. T/N even after 50 chapters, I failed to discover what gender Xiao Bai and Xiao He were. So I will use gender neutral for them. Yes, master, I too noticed this. Xiao He nodded. Clothes. Bailey Hongzhuang's brows lifted slightly. It was reasonable to say that there was no need to touch the opponent's clothes while fighting with swords. She believed that Xiao He and Xiao Bai's vision will never be misconstrued, and recalled that the two mercenaries she had engaged in battle with had actually touched her clothes with their hands. Suddenly, a thought flashed in Bailey Hongzhuang's mind, faintly guessing a possibility in her heart. Could it be that they left behind some kind of special material on us? Special material? Xiao He and Xiao Bai looked at each other. They didn't know what their master was referring to. As a doctor, Bailey Hongzhuang was most sensitive to this kind of thing. In this world, there were a lot of odorless and colorless poisons that could kill people. She too had a lot of means like this. Since she had these means, then the mercenary group may have it too. Di Beichan looked at the constantly changing expressions on Bailey Hongzhuang's face and softly asked, Did Lady find something? Bailey Hongzhuang lifted her eyes to look at Di Beichan. I have a guess, but I can't be sure. Saying this, the corners of Bailey Hongzhuang's mouth lifted in an ambiguous arc. To verify that I am accurate, I need your help. Oh. Di Beichan's brows raised, his eyes deep and bright. With an indulging smile he said, Since wifey needs husband's help, I will naturally not deny. Your strength is the strongest, and it would be most convenient for you to do this. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and told him her thoughts. You mean that our clothes had been smeared with some kind of special material by the mercenaries of the Vicious Flames mercenary group? Thought that it will attract wicked? Di Beichan asked. Yes, Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. Don't you think the frequency of attacks is too exaggerated? Wifey is right. Di Beichan smiled devilishly, his handsome face appearing both charming and elegant at the same time. I'll help Lady determine if her guess is accurate. Chapter 442. Did you quarrel? The next moment, Di Beichan suddenly came forward, and his stature disappeared in an instant from in front of everybody's eyes. Seeing the sudden departure of Di Beichan, a tinge of doubt emerged in everybody's eyes. Hongzhuang, why did Di Beichan leave so suddenly? Xia Zhiqing walked to Bailey Hongzhuang's side and expressed her confusion as she questioned. When Xia Zhiqing asked this question, Gong Shaoqing and the others too looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. They had only noticed Bailey Hongzhuang exchange a few words with Di Beichan before Di Beichan suddenly left. It was a bit strange. We are now very deep in the Luoyun Mountains. It will be dangerous since Di Beichan has left alone. Bai Juyu frowned, his usually sunny face revealing his worry. You did not quarrel, right? Hearing his words, the expressions of the people around became a bit weird. Since Di Beichan first came to Conglan College, they found that Di Beichan would always stick close to Bailey Hongzhuang. They also noticed that Di Beichan was very considerate towards Bailey Hongzhuang. However, Bailey Hongzhuang did not seem to reciprocate the same emotions or give any sort of special indication. Contradictions between husband and wife were a common thing. Perhaps a conflict had risen between the two and so Di Beichan had left. Bailey Hongzhuang saw that everyone seemed to believe that they had fought, and she couldn't help becoming somewhat dumbfounded. You are thinking too much. I am just letting Di Beichan test something out for me, Bailey Hongzhuang explained. Test? Bai Junyu's eyes widened. What test? Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. After he returns I will know. Listening to Bailey Hongzhuang's reply, everyone was relieved. The things between a husband and wife were not simple. They were complex and complicated. If they had a fight at this time, then they would be in trouble. Whatever you say, it is dangerous for Di Beichan to leave alone. We could have helped. Cui Haoyan and Bai Junyu expressed their concern. Even though their strength was not bad, once they encounter a powerful and cunning wicked, there was no absolute certainty that they would leave unharmed. Bailey Hongzhuang waved her hat. He will be back soon, don't worry. With the strength of Di Bei-chan, she truly believed that the wicked nearby would pose no threat to him. If even this was difficult for him, what was the use of having a special physique? The team continued to move forward. Gong Xiaoqing and Dong Fangyu looked at each other, both their eyes flashing with a hint of surprise. Others might not have paid attention, but they had noticed the speed at which Di Bei-chan had left. In the blink of an eye, he had disappeared from in front of their eyes. That speed was not one ordinary people could compare to, even the two of them absolutely couldn't achieve that speed. Di Bei-chan really was a mystery. After half an hour, Di Bei-chan reappeared in front of everyone. That unparalleled and handsome face was still indifferent and elegant, not even the slightest bit different. From his clothes, it didn't seem as if he had fought with any wicked. "Wifey, I'm back." Di Bei-chan's lips were slightly lifted, his eyes shining like stars, reflecting Bailey Hongzhuang's figure in them. It was like he only had eyes for Bailey Hongzhuang. Xia Zhiqing and Zhang Yunfeng both looked at Bailey Hongzong and Di Bei-chan. Di Bei-chan was really good towards of Bailey Hongzhuang. No matter where and when, his first thought was always Bailey Hongzhuang. This alone was enough to make them envious. What was the result? Her delicate face was filled with curiosity as Bailey Hongzhuang asked that question. Chapter 443 Tampered Clothes. Di Bei-chan narrowed his eyes devilishly before his face showed a bit of sadness. Wifey only cares about the results and does not care about me at all. The husband is very sad right now. Bailey Hongzhuang's beautiful eyes changed a little. Although she knew that the sadness on this guy's face was just bogus, he really seemed to be overdoing it. "Then you weren't injured when you were testing my theory, right?" said Bailey Hongzhuang with an unnatural expression. A bright and charming smile lit up Di Bei-chan's face. "Lady is so concerned about me that husband's heart is moved. However, with husband's skills, it was naturally not dangerous and he would not be hurt." Bailey Hongzhuang really did not want to talk to this person again. Wasn't he just trying to tease her, ah? And why did his face look like that? Xia Zhiqing looked at the interaction between Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Bei-chan, and a smile couldn't help but grace her face. Di Bei-chan was really very interesting. Every day, no matter how cold Bailey Hongzhuang tried to act, he wouldn't give up and acted shamelessly as he pursued her. This situation should be a match made in heaven, right? What's more, Di Bei-chan was a very outstanding individual. Even though the entire college knows that he already has a wife, she still sees female students expressing their feelings to Di Bei-chan. She found that Di Bei-chan's treatment of Bailey Hongzhuang and other women was basically on two different planes. Faced with other women's confessions, Di Bei-chan's face would be indifferent from beginning to end, never showing a smile, even refusing to give an answer, simply too lazy to speak. However, in front of Bailey Hongzhuang, Di Bei-chan became a shameless rascal. It was because of this that she feels that Di Bei-chan truly loved Bailey Hongzhuang. With Bailey Hongzhuang being so outstanding, if the other person does not treat her well and truthfully with all their heart and soul, wasn't it too woeful? Looking at Xia Zhiqing's smile, Bai Junyu smiled too. Xia Zhiqing blinked at Bai Junyu's smile. She thought that Bai Junyu and she were both interested in the relationship between Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Bei-chan, but she was unaware that Bai Junyu was smiling because of her. "Can you tell me the results of the test now?" Bailey Hongzhuang's face revealed a bit of helplessness. She found that she really had no way to get around Di Bei-chan. Di Bei-chan nodded. He felt that Bailey Hongzhuang's helpless faces were particularly adorable. His lady was always stubborn, but she was not without emotions. "As you guessed, our clothes were tampered with," Di Bei-chan said, serious, his joking face disappearing in a moment. According to Bailey Hongzhuang, he went ahead on his own and discovered that many wicked appeared and attacked him. From his experience of walking in these mountains, he tried his best to avoid them, but they always seemed to know where he was, catching up with him wherever he went. Then, after he changed his clothes and threw his previous clothes into his inyong pouch, those whelps never appeared again. Obviously, the problem was with his clothes. Bailey Hongzhuang's clear and refined face was not surprised in the least. There was a hint of chilliness in her expression as she sneered. They must have wanted us to waste our energy this way. Chapter 444 Impressive. Bailey Hongzhuang. In that case, they should not be far from us. Di Beichen's lips curved up into an evil smile. His judgment was correct. Yi Huchang and others would not be willing to leave so easily. Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen looked at each other. In fact, they had been expecting this. I believe they must be waiting until we are exhausted to appear again. Now that they are hidden, it will be very difficult for us to find them. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes sparkled with wisdom. We can only wait for them to show themselves. Di Beichen's lips were slightly curved, his deep and dark eyes full of appreciation. His wife was really brilliant. If it weren't for the fact that Bailey Hongzhuang had noticed the problem with their clothes, he was afraid that they would have never found. After being appraised by Di Beichen, Bailey Hongzhuang slowly expressed her thoughts to everyone. When the others heard Bailey Hongzhuang's conjecture, everyone's faces invariably changed colors. The reason why we are being attacked by so many wicked is that something has been smeared onto our clothes. Cui Haoyan's face expressed his shock. Before that, they had not thought anything was abnormal about their clothes. Bailey Hongzhuang's face was serious. I had previously sent Di Beichen in order to test if my theory was correct. Seems that it is correct. Don't you all think that the wicked today are too strange? Just a simple question and everyone believed Bailey Hongzhuang's words. You are right. I have been to the Luoyun Mountains many times. It is the first time I have been attacked by so many wicked. Cui Haoyan replied. In my opinion, we shouldn't continue like this any longer. I'm afraid we'll have to change our clothes. Dong Fengyu's voice was warm and calm. He believed that Bailey Hongzhuang would not shoot aimlessly. Since Bailey Hongzhuang had said so, she must have affirmed her theory. I also believe in Bailey Hongzhuang's judgment. Xia Zhiqing followed. Seeing that Dong Fengyu and the others did not hesitate to believe in her, Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved up gently. Gong Shaoqing and the others looked at each other, not really having an opinion. Soon, everyone had changed their clothes as they once again continued towards the miasma forest. As they hurried, everyone was surprised to find that the frequency of wicked attacks had reduced significantly. After the team avoided a few places known for having wicked, they only encountered a handful of them. At this moment, everyone no longer doubted what Bailey Hongzhuang had said. Their clothes had been tampered with by Yi Huchang and the others. Bailey Hongzhuang, you are really powerful. You even found out what was wrong with our clothes. Lu Qin could hardly hide her admiring face. She really admired Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang, you're amazing. Cui Haoyan showed thumbs up. And Bai Junyu's face also expressed his admiration. If it weren't for Bailey Hongzhuang who found out the problem, I'm afraid they would still be being attacked. In this way, they would have been delayed on their way to the destination. What's more, if they are exhausted, Yi Huchang and the others would suddenly appear, wanting to start another fight. Bailey Hongzhuang, I really want to thank you. Dong Fengyu also praised with a smile. Chapter 445 Relying on Yourself. Listening to everyone's praises. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and waved her hand. I'm just doing what I should be. Hongzhuang, you are too humble. Zhang Yunfeng laughed. After Cui Haoyan was saved by Bailey Hongzhuang, Zhang Yunfeng was full of gratitude towards Bailey Hongzhuang. At first, she thought that Bailey Hongzhuang was just trying to steal all the limelight in the college, and her heart had been guarded. However, after learning more about Bailey Hongzhuang, her original dissatisfaction disappeared, and was replaced by an appreciation for Bailey Hongzhuang. For example, with Bailey Hongzhuang being such a talented genius, she really had no need to grab the limelight. She has long been doomed to be watched and admired. I also require Di Beichen's help to confirm my guess. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled slightly, looking towards Di Beichen. She does not like being put into the limelight alone. Di Beichen chuckled. His wifey was too cute. Anyways, thank you, or we would have still been fighting and exhausted. Cui Haoyan shook his head. Previously they had been like a taut bowstring with tension, always alert but still being attacked by wicked, making them extremely tired in a short time. If later in the day they were encountered by Yi Huchang and the others, they would have no strength to fight. Yi Huchang and the people of the Vicious Flames mercenary group are really scheming and despicable. With the method they used, if not for Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Bei-chan, we will be really unlucky. Xia Zhiqing seethed. Being schemed against, who would be happy? When she said this, Gong Shaoqing and the others looked as if their faces were covered with a layer of ice. They had never been good people. Since the other party wanted to deal with them in this way, they would fully reciprocate to Yi Huchang and the others. Suddenly, Bailey Hongzhuang smiled sinisterly, her eyes appearing deeper than the ocean. Di Bei-chan looked at the change in Bailey Hongzhuang's expression and told himself to be more aware of his own wife. It was just a means to deal with the fact that Bailey Hongzhuang was really mysterious. He already knew of Bailey Hongzhuang's bizarre means. Not as good as, shouldn't we also give to people what they have given to us? Bailey Hongzhuang smiled slightly. She had never liked to be the losing party. If Xiaobai and Xiaobai had not told her this time, she would not have known what happened. She had already studied the substance and found that the liquid applied by them was colorless and odorless, and it was smeared by hand. It was indeed unguardable. It seems that the physician who made this liquid was quite good. However, doctors were of two types, one who helped the world, learning medicine to save people, and the others who used medicine just as a means for their own survival and achieved this through the usage of a variety of poisons and poisonous powders. Obviously, the doctor who developed this medicine belonged to the latter kind. The Vicious Flames mercenary group had this liquid. It was no wonder they gained the spot among the top mercenary groups. The most frequent place visited by mercenaries was this mountain range. Among the mountain ranges, wicked were in abundance. Once the Vicious Flames mercenary group decided on their enemy, as long as they had the opportunity to smear the liquid onto the other's clothes, then they had the power to trap the other party in the Luoyun Mountains forever. This method was really cruel. As Bailey Hongzhuang said this, everyone there looked towards her. Chapter 446. Don't ever offend Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang, do you have a solution? Even the iceberg-faced Gong Shaoqing was concerned with the sudden turn of events, and hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's words he asked her. His usually placid as lake expression now slightly stormy. He had always disliked trouble, and he was simply unwilling to pay attention to problems that could be ignored. However, the repetitive occurrences of Yi Huchang had incurred his ire. He had never been afraid of Yi Huqian, he just thought it was useless to bother with someone like him. However, Yi Huchang obviously did not get the hint. If he allowed Yi Huchang to go on like this, there would be countless troubles in the future. It was better to take this opportunity and silence him completely. If it weren't for the urgent need to go to the miasma forest, he would have immediately rushed to kill Yi Huchang as early as this morning, and would not have given him an opportunity for escape. The eyes of the team members locked onto Bailey Hongzhuang. They all looked forward to it. They were attacked early in the morning and later they were schemed against. As special enrollment students of Tsanglan College, how could they bear this? Hearing that Bailey Hongzhuang had a way, they just wanted to retaliate against Yi Huchang and the others and let them know that they were not to be trifled with. The corners of Bailey Hongzhuang's lips rose up slightly. I do have a way, but tonight we need to find a place to rest earlier. I need some time to prepare. Hearing this, everyone did not hesitate to nod. As long as they could show them their places, what could some delay of time be counted as? The big deal was that they would have their revenge tomorrow. What's more, if they were constantly attacked by Yi Huchang and the others, their speed of progress will slow down. So, it was better to solve this problem and then hit the road again. Seeing that everyone agreed, Bailey Hongzhuang said, "Since they used wicked to hurt us, we will also use wicked to deal with them." Everyone's eyes lit up. This was naturally the most energy-saving method. Hongzhuang, do you have any way to use wicked? Xia Zhiqing's eyes flashed with curiosity, unable to help but ask. They are not the only ones who can produce that liquid. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled lightly, her face full of confidence. With regard to making drugs and elixirs, she always refused to admit defeat. She had dealt with many unusual poisons. She had also developed medicinal elixirs and liquids for various purposes. Fortunately, she had always had the habit of collecting medicinal herbs. In her yin-yang bag, there were enough herbs to satisfy her current needs. But how do we smear the liquid onto their body? Bai Junyu frowned, his face puzzled in worries. They had originally been sparkling, but thinking of this predicament they turned dark. That is somewhat tricky. Tonight when they come again we will be waiting for them. Then doing what they did to us we will let them have a taste of their own medicine. As Bailey Hongzhuang expressed her thoughts, everyone's eyes expressed their shock. Bai Junyu was excited. He was now aware that there was no one who could offend Bailey Hongzhuang, otherwise, they themselves wouldn't know how they died. This idea is really awesome. Xia Zhiqing was excited. For such disgusting fellows like Yi Huchang and the Vicious Flames mercenary group, she did not show an ounce of mercy. This move is pretty smooth. Cui Haoyan once again raised his thumbs. He really admired Bailey Hongzhuang's brain, and was at the same time fortunate that he was not an enemy of Bailey Hongzhuang. Otherwise he will be finished. Chapter 447. The main event. When darkness fell again. The entire Luoyun Mountains were plunged into darkness. The dark clouds blocked the moon, making it even darker than usual, and with the calls of the animals and wicked, a dark and sinister aura had spread throughout. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were sitting under a tree. Sometime in between, they had once again worn the clothes from earlier. Soon afterward, Wicked rushed over to them like they had smelt something delicious, and immediately began attacking their team. The sound of clanging weapons and the howls and screams of Wicked came in tandem, and the faces of Bailey Hongzhuang and the other people were full of depression. Damn it! How are there so many Wicked? It's hell! Cui Haoyan cursed while stabbing one of them. Dong Fengyu's face was also full of dissatisfaction and exhaustion. It seems that we are being constantly hit by misfortune ever since we met Yi Huchang and that group. I have had no rest the entire day. It is really hateful. I don't understand. How do they know where we are? Not far away, Yi Huchang heard the screams of Gong Shaoqing and the others who were still fighting. His originally angry face now beamed with excitement. Leader Zhao, you are really too clever. Yi Huchang looked over to see Zhao Yihan, his eyes full of excitement. Zhao Yihan chuckled loudly. Due to being constantly attacked, they must have had no rest all day. Even the speed of their moves is slow. Yi Huchang looked for a moment and then smiled and nodded. Yes, they wouldn't have been able to think that this was all our doing. This time, I will certainly be able to kill Gong Shaoqing. At this moment, Yi Huchang's heart was full of confidence. For a long time, his strength had been comparable to Gong Shaoqing's. Now that Gong Shaoqing was so tired, as long as they fought and he gave it his all, Gong Shaoqing would certainly lose to him. In a competition between two evenly matched cultivators, as long as there was even the slightest bit of gap, it would result in the weaker one's failure. Zhao Yihan's eyes flashed with a chilling light. I will also take revenge for my brothers who have fallen from their hands. The loss of 3 practitioners at Mysterious Ian late stage, he could not accept it, but with Yi Huchang now helping them and his talent compared to those cultivators, made the loss still within acceptable limits. Now, he had recorded this enmity with Bailey Hongzhuang and other people. In my opinion, they should be exhausted enough. Let's go now. Yi Huchang screamed. He couldn't help but want to go there and kill Gong Shaoqing. Hearing this, Zhao Yihan pondered for a moment and said, let's wait for them to kill this group of wicked and then we will go. Well then, Yi Huchang nodded. As long as he could personally kill Gong Shaoqing, what was a few minutes' time? Master, they have already come. Xiao Hei's voice reminded Bailey Hongzhuang. It won't be long before they attack you. I know. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes quickly swept over the dense foliage. Xiao Hei and Xiao Bai's cultivation power was very strong, so they could easily detect Yi Huchang and the others. Hiki. Bailey Hongzhuang coughed suddenly, and the next moment, Gong Shaoqing and others' eyes changed a bit. It seems like the main event would now begin. Chapter 448. Revenge. After Gong Shaoqing slashed at and killed the last wicked, everyone was relieved. Finally, these wicked are dead and I am utterly exhausted. Bai Junyu replied with a hint of helplessness. He sat down tiredly on the ground, looking as if he were unwilling to move even a single finger again. Everyone take a break. After a short break, we will leave quickly to find a place to rest. Otherwise, the current bloody smell will surely attract and provoke other wicked. Gong Shaoqing reminded. I know. All the people seem tired. At this moment an untimely sound came. I think you look very tired. It is better to rest here forever. Yi Huchang smiled proudly as he slowly walked towards Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. He was really happy. He had never been this happy since the time he had been kicked out of the Zhonglan College. Gong Xiaoqing and the others' faces changed a bit, looking gloomily at Yi Huchang. Yi Huchang, how dare you appear again? We let you escape this morning, this time we will not do so. Gong Xiaoqing, you talk really big. Yi Huchang sneered. You have been attacked by Wicked the entire day. I'm afraid that you must already be exhausted. The voice fell and Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were quiet. A few seconds later they looked at Yi Huchang with ugly expressions. Today's events have been planned by you? Dong Fengyu asked. The anger in his voice could not be concealed. Yes, it is what I did. Yi Huchang proudly raised his chin as he looked at the other side to where Zhao Yihan stood. Thanks to the method of Vicious Flames mercenary group's second leader. What do you think? Despicable. What's despicable? Do you want more? Yi Huchang stepped forward towards Bailey Hongzhuang and the others, while Bailey Hongzhuang and the group kept taking steps backward. They showed a very different attitude from the one they had to see this morning, and the mercenaries of the Vicious Flames mercenary group showed a happy smile. The roles had been reversed and the ones in a sticky situation now were these special enrollment students of the Zhonglan College. Fight! Zhao Yihan waved. Tonight we will have revenge on our enemies and repay all complaints and grudges. The next moment, Yi Huchang and the mercenaries rushed towards Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. Not only that, even Zhao Yihan himself rushed up. Today he must kill Di Beichun. Faced with the attack of Yi Huchang and the others, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others stepped back as if afraid. Seeing this situation, Yi Huchang and the others became more and more proud, holding to their weapons and clamoring to kill the group. Suddenly, Bailey Hongzhuang and other people looked at one another and ran behind with great tacit understanding. Yi Huchang and the others would naturally not allow Bailey Hongzhuang and the others to run away like this and quickly chased after them. Just then Gong Xiaoqing threw out a punch. Boom! Dust rose in the sky. White powder mixed with yellow sand flew onto Yi Huchang and the others, covering their body and hair, and momentarily blinding them. Yi Huchang and the others only noticed that there was a slope on that side. After they rubbed their eyes, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others had already fled. In the middle of the night, once Bailey Hongzhuang and the others decided to run away, it would be very difficult to find them. Anyways, we must catch up with them. Yi Huchang spat out the dust in his mouth with anger. Chapter 449 Black Belly. After some time, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were sitting idly on tree branches. They all looked relaxed and cozy. Their exhausted appearance had disappeared. Yi Huchang and the others certainly wouldn't think that they only need to turn around a corner to find us. Xia Zhiqing chuckled. She thought that Yi Huchang and the mercenaries' expressions were ridiculous. She was really curious what kind of expression Yi Huchang and those mercenaries would make later when they got their surprise. Bailey Hongzhuang blinked. Let's wait and see. There will surely be a good spectacle. No one ever noticed the figure of Xiao He and Xiao Bai, who had left quietly for some while but had now returned to Bailey Hongzhuang's head. Yi Huchang and the mercenaries trailed the direction where Bailey Hongzhuang and the others had run. However, they found that there were no traces of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others at all. Vu! Suddenly, a loud squeaky screech sounded, and from the tone and pitch of the voice, it was possible to judge that the owner of it was a Wicked. Oh woo! After the first scream, more screeches and screams sounded in response to the call. It seemed particularly terrible in the still silence. Gong Xiaoqing and the others listened to the screeches of Wicked, and a weird expression appeared on their faces. What is this Wicked? Why is its cry so terrible? Xia Zhiqing turned her body, the admiration in her eyes growing thicker. Hongzhuang, your powder was too effective. How long has it been? How did it attract them so fast? So many Wicked. The powder did not work too quickly. It's just that this area is inhabited by black phantom firebirds. I just helped them find more trouble. Bailey Hongzhuang shrugged, looking serious as if what she had just done was easy and simple as pie. However, Bai Junyu and others could not help but shiver. Black phantom firebird. It was a wicked that was even more powerful than a cultivator at the mysterious Ian late stage. They had previously conspired against them, but now Hu Chang and the others had fallen into a sticky situation. Directly entering the Black Phantom Firebird's territory was like looking for death. Dong Fengyu and Gong Shaoqing were completely convinced of Bailey Hongzhuang's prowess now. They did not want to dwell too much on this strange method. Bai Junyu had originally thought that Hu Chang and the others were extremely despicable, but at the moment he felt somewhat sympathetic towards them. Too awful. It's terrible. Wifey is really smart. As a result, you even saved us. Bewitching smiled and praised. Bailey Hongzhuang clapped her hands indifferently. We all have been exhausted after today's event. Now, you don't have to worry about Hu Chang and the others now and can rest. What lady says is reasonable. Everyone was screaming internally at seeing Bewitching and Bailey Hongzhuang flirt so naturally. They can't help but think that these two were really black-bellied. As the screams got farther and farther away, the team jumped down from the tree. We should find a place to rest. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled lightly, finally able to get some rest. Xia Zhiqing looked somewhat reticent. Hongzhuang, Hu Chang. And those mercenaries will not escape easily, right? Bewitching put his arm around Bailey Hongzhuang's shoulder and smiled. Would my dear wifey ever let them off so easily? Chapter 450 Eating Food. Listening to Bewitching's words, Xia Zhiqing suddenly felt that her worries were somewhat redundant. Bailey Hongzhuang had even provoked wicked like Black Phantom Firebird. How could she allow Hu Chang and those mercenaries to live? Cui Haoyan patted Xia Zhiqing's shoulder and smiled, saying, even if they were lucky enough to escape from the Black Phantom Firebird, don't forget that Bailey Hongzhuang's powder will still be working. That is true. Xia Zhiqing had an epiphany. Bailey Hongzhuang really made sure that her plans had no leak. Not far away, Lu Huayan and Fu Hongbo were listening to the conversation of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. They felt the hairs on their back rise. This method, even they would be hard-pressed for escape. Hu Chang is really unlucky to have encountered this girl. Lu Huayan cried out before smiling and saying, this wonderful and unpleasant method really makes one fallible. You should be grateful that we hadn't run into this godly doctor's wrath before. Fu Hongbo chuckled, but the method that Bailey Hongzhuang used today really opened his eyes. That kind of powder, if he had a chance, he would like to get it. After all, this kind of powder could really help in a tough spot. However, Lu Huayan said somewhat doubtfully, how did Bailey Hongzhuang know that there was a lair of Black Phantom Firebirds nearby? Hearing this, Fu Hongbo also paused. This point even he did not understand. Oh master, our effective when working together is really good. Xiao He smiled, a hint of appreciation in his looks. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and nodded. If it weren't for Xiao He and Xiao Bai who had alerted her about the Black Phantom Firebirds, this matter today would not have gone as smoothly. After we go back, I will give you a lot to eat. Hearing this, Xiao He and Xiao Bai's faces bloomed like flowers. This was their ultimate goal. It was indeed worth their hard work. Baisher picked up a small claw towards Bailey Hongzhuang, inditing that he too had been helpful. As the Beastmaster, it was most sensitive towards wicked, and as long as he was more attentive, he could easily determine the position of a wicked den. It was because of this that Bailey Hongzhuang chose where to rest today. You too. Bailey Hongzhuang touched Baisher's small head. Having the Beastmaster was also a big weapon. Baisher blinked with satisfaction, his furry little face also expressing it. Bailey Hongzhuang's smile deepened a bit. Raising these three gluttons was not easy, but these three gluttons were also very helpful. The only benefit they needed was food. That night, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others could finally rest comfortably overnight. Without the harassment of Hu Chang and the others, everyone felt happy. Among the team, the best mood was Lu Qingyu's. Since the first time she thought of Hu Chang, she could not sleep at night. Especially after Hu Chang had appeared the last time. She was even more afraid that he would keep appearing before her again and again. But now she no longer had to worry about this problem. Lu Yu, afterward Hu Chang will not appear again, you don't need to worry about it. Gong Shaoqing's cold voice was chilly, but revealed a bit of comfort and relaxation, as if removing a burden. Lu Qinyu smiled and nodded. Yeah, I can finally be relieved. In that case, I will not mention this again in the future. Chapter 451 Will you be with me? Listening to Gong Xiaoqing's words, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others also thought the same. There were not many people who knew about this matter. Not that they were people who liked to whisper such things. This matter was now over and would not be mentioned. What's more, now that Yi Hucheng was dead, this matter had obviously come to an end. Big brother Gong, what do you mean by that? Lu Qinyu's eyebrows rose in an instant when she heard Gong Xiaoqing's words. Sensitive to such matters, she immediately discovered the hidden meaning in his words. Gong Xiaoqing shook his head. There is no point in it. I just see that you are no longer under a psychological pressure and have a lot of peace of mind. This was a very normal sentence. However, after Lu Qinyu heard it, her expression changed. The usual gentle expression gave way to layers of emotions, and there was a hint of sadness spreading. It was only that this was not shown. Dongfang Yu, Cui Haoyan, Zhan Yunfeng and Bailey Hongzhuang looked at each other. They all indistinctly understood Gong Xiaoqing's meaning. It had always been known that Gong Xiaoqing and Lu Qinyu were close. However, Gong Xiaoqing's attitude towards Lu Qinyu was different from hers to him. From the attitude of Gong Xiaoqing, it could be easily felt that he did not like Lu Qinyu a lot, but because he had to protect her, the relationship between them was very close. In the beginning, Gong Xiaoqing felt that he was the reason for the things between Lu Qinyu and Yi Hucheng, and had been protecting Lu Qinyu. Now that Yi Hucheng no longer existed, then Lu Qinyu had no reason to be afraid anymore. As a result, Gong Xiaoqing naturally does not need to protect Lu Qinyu like before. This he was drawing a line. Xia Zhiqing and Bai Junyu looked at each other with curiosity. They did not know of the matter from before, and naturally did not understand why the atmosphere had become so weird. Di Beichan sat indifferently and comfortably as if nothing was happening around him. On seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang also sat down beside Di Beichan. This matter, even if they understood it and didn't speak, they felt they shouldn't hear it. It was more appropriate for Lu Qinyu and Gong Xiaoqing to discuss this matter. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang's actions, Cui Haoyan and the other three people also followed. They did not want to get into these personal matters. If they continued to stand there, it would only attract attention. The next moment, Gong Xiaoqing and Lu Qinyu suddenly walked a bit farther and talked with each other. Di Beichan bent down slightly. Looking at Bailey Hongzhuang, he revealed a doting smile. Is wifey now used to working with husband? Bailey Hongzhuang thought about it for a moment. It's not bad. The arc of Di Beichan's lips became more pronounced. His right hand grasping Bailey Hongzhuang's small hand on the ground. It is not easy for people in the world to find someone both pleasing to the eyes, and whom they can connect with. I will never find someone as good as Lady. Will she be with her husband? Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang slowly turned to the male perfection beside her. The sun shone on his face, appearing soft and warm. They were really close, but she could not see even the slightest blemish on Di Beichan's face. He really did have impeccable features. Chapter 452 Bailey Hongzhuang's lips twisted, her deep black pupils flashing with seriousness. I, Bailey Hongzhuang, never will. To him this was her answer. Di Beichan blinked in the moment of stagnation. Soon, a smile rose the corner of his mouth again. So to speak, husband still has to continue chasing his wifey for a long time, Di Beichan said, his face full of emotion. It seemed as if he was completely confident. Bailey Hongzhuang shook her head. Looking indifferently at Di Beichan, and the atmosphere between them fell silent. Soon afterward, Gong Xiaoqing and Lu Qinyu came back, looking as if nothing had happened. It is late now, let's go, Gong Xiaoqing slowly said. Everyone nodded. The sudden appearance of Yi Hucheng had disrupted their plans, and now they needed to hurry up. Bailey Hongzhuang stood up from the ground and was ready to go along with everyone. When everybody was ready to go, Di Beichan grabbed Bailey Hongzhuang. Suddenly, Bailey Hongzhuang was pushed up against the tree, and he was standing before her. Di Beichan's face leaned close to Bailey Hongzhuang's as he said, "The husband is not willing to give up. There will be a day that lady will willingly marry me." Saying this, Di Beichan let her go, watching as Bailey Hongzhuang ran to catch up with the team. Bailey Hongzhuang looked back at the tall and straight figure, different emotions flashing through his eyes. Oh! After the people once again embarked on their expedition, The people clearly felt that Lu Qinyu's mood was somewhat low. Usually, Lu Qinyu's mouth always has a shallow smile. At the moment, her face looked like it was shrouded in dark clouds. It was like she didn't have the slightest spirit, and a faint hint of vagueness spread. Upon seeing this situation, the other people knew the outcome and were slightly desperate. Now free of Yi Hu Chang and the mercenaries' harassment, the progress of Bailey Hong Zihong and the team was very fast. After 3 days, the team finally appeared at the place where the miasma forest was located. On looking closer at the miasma forest, more and more cultivators appeared around them. Usually, in the depths of Luoyun Mountains, it was rare to see so many people. It could be seen how the mysterious miasma forest was an attractive place to everyone. Wow, I didn't expect that there would be so many people here, Xia Zhiqing said in amazement. They've already come here, so isn't the task finished by now? Watching the posture of these cultivators, it was obvious that they had been here for some time. Bai Junyu chuckled. Do you think that a miasma forest like this would be so simple? Miasma has always been dangerous. To make sure to not get trapped inside, we must think of ways before itself. Listening to these words, Xia Zhiqing's eyes cleared, realizing it. If so, then we still have a chance. Master, this miasma is highly toxic. Wanting to go in is not easy. Xiao He spoke up, as he looked at the miasma in front of him. There was also a trace of worry in the eyes of the other little beasts. The area covered by the miasma is very large. It is no wonder that the mercenary trade union will give out such high rewards. Bailey Hongzhuang eyed the trees and miasma which seemed to cover the entire forest. Completely covered by miasma, the place appeared white. The thickness of the miasma was very scary, and the visibility was not even 1 meter. From the outside, it was impossible to guess on the situation inside. Chapter 453 Inexplicable Miasma. The miasma in this forest is really strong. This is the first time I'm seeing miasma so thick. Zhang Yufeng's eyes were full of horror. She was afraid to even breathe when the miasma was so close. The miasma almost looked like early morning mist. However, it wasn't. Even if they were a team member, they would be mistaken for enemies when the visibility was barely 1 meter. The faces of Gong Xiaoqing and the others also became dignified. Such a strong miasma is unheard of. We should first inquire about the situation from the others. After we have some understanding, we can make further plans. Cui Haoyin said. The others nodded their heads. They believed that the cultivators who had arrived earlier would know more, and understanding more about this situation would help them come up with better plans. They slowly walked in a random direction, approaching the cultivators, whose talking voice is now in a hearable range. The miasma's thickness is really terrible and the miasma keeps spreading more every day. I can't imagine what range it will spread to. It is also really weird. Before, when some people went in, we only heard sounds. Suddenly all movement ceased and they seemed to have disappeared. In my opinion, the mercenary trade union's judgment this time was wrong. This task is far higher than a blue level one. Everyone shook their heads, sighing. It was obvious even they were at a loss. Listening to these remarks, the hearts of the people seemed a little heavy. The power of miasma was higher than they anticipated. Dongfang Yu did not delay and went directly into the crowd to make more inquiries about the miasma. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others found a suitable place to rest nearby. Obviously, this situation would need more inquiries. In a little while, Dongfang Yu came back and told everyone what he had earned. From Dongfang Yu's narrative, everyone had a certain understanding of this situation. It turned out that many cultivators had arrived here as early as a few days ago at the miasma forest. They had discovered that the miasma was spreading little by little. Every day, the area covered by the miasma would get a little bigger. Not only that, people had heard the howls of wicked from time to time coming from inside. The howls were extremely loud. Even some of the old mercenaries who had often come to Luoyun Mountains did not know what they were. During this time, many cultivators had courageously entered the miasma forest, but they had not reported the slightest news after entering. As the days got longer and longer, everyone thought that the others must have died. Nowadays, people had begun fearing this inexplicable miasma, but since they had sent people to ask for news, they could only sit back and wait quietly. I have heard that miasma forests spread over time, but this is the first time that I have witnessed it. Cui Haoyan's eyes were wide, his face full of wonder. Many people like Bailey Hongzhuang sat in silence. This situation wasn't unheard of. In my opinion, we don't need to worry. Let's think of what to do, Gong Xiaoqing said. The current situation was clearly beyond their expectation. Taking rash actions was absolutely impossible. Now let's not be so anxious. Let's get to know more about the situation. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes were bright. She had always been interested in such unknown things. Chapter 454. I do not know your name. Having a better understanding of the situation, Bailey Hongzhuang directly walked closer to the miasma. She had seen a lot of toxic miasmas in her past life, but it seemed that this miasma is more toxic than the one she had encountered before. When the practitioners around saw Bailey Hongzhuang walk so close to the miasma, a strange expression appeared on their faces. Girl, this is poisonous. I advise you to be a little farther away from the miasma. A young man could not help but walk next to Bailey Hongzhuang after seeing Bailey Hongzhuang's beautiful face, reminding in goodwill. It would be a pity if the life of such a beautiful woman were to be extinguished because of this miasma. The man who had walked towards her was young, and Bailey Hongzhuang guessed that he was around 20 years old. He looked handsome and was well dressed. Obviously, he was not an ordinary mercenary. He should be the young master of some family. Thank you for reminding me, Bailey Hongzhuang said lightly in a polite tone. Since the other party had reminded her out of goodwill, she did not feel the need to be cold-faced. Immediately afterward, Bailey Hongzhuang took out a long needle from her yin-yang pouch and tried to make the silver needle touch the miasma. Master, what are you doing? Xiao He asked curiously, looking with its intelligent eyes. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. I'm testing the toxicity of the miasma. People can't go inside it directly. This acupuncture needle is really magical. You can even test the toxicity of the miasma using it, Xiao Bai said with some emotion. Baisher silently hugged the shoulders of Bailey Hongzhuang, his eyes tightly focused on the miasma. To be precise, he was staring into the depths of the miasma. Master, I seem to feel a familiar atmosphere in this miasma. Baisher's eyes glowed with complex emotions, apparently somewhat skeptical and somewhat uncertain. Her inky black phoenix eyes swept over the miasma, and Bailey Hongzhuang felt a little strange. You know which wicket is inside the miasma? Baisher was the beastmaster. Naturally, it belonged in the ranks of mythical beasts. Wicked and human cultivators were different. Wicked have a very magical power and can be contracted with. Even Baisher had never seen a wicked, demonic beast of the same level ever since he came to be. Its mother had already passed on a lot of knowledge to Baisher when she had bred him. This included cultivation methods and all information that Baisher needs to know. As Baisher grew up, Baisher learned more and more. Whatever he had inherited in his memory would never go away. It was obviously better than human knowledge. Baisher shook his head and looked somewhat helpless. I just felt that the aura was somewhat familiar, but I can't be sure which wicket it is. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang wasn't disappointed and laughed. It doesn't matter. You might be able to tell when we get closer to the wicket. Hu Junqing saw that Bailey Hongzhuang did not leave and instead took out a needle and put it into the miasma. A doubtful expression appeared on his face. Girl, what are you doing? The man asked, and Bailey Hongzhuang looked at her side for a moment. There was a trace of impatience in her mind. She did not like to be disturbed when she was busy. I am Hu Junqing. I do not know what the girl is called. Seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang never answered, Hu Junqing did not care. To the so-called fair lady, gentlemen would be good. For rare beauties like Bailey Hongzhuang, it was also normal for them to not care about other people. Such a beautiful person, even if rejected, it was also an enjoyment. Chapter 455. How dare you? Master, this guy seems to have taken a fancy to you. Xiao Hei's eyes flashed with excitement, as if hoping for a good show. These people are the most annoying. Bailey Hongzhuang did not plan on ignoring Hu Junqing. She just believed that this guy was an annoyance and should not bother her. Our master was talking to you. How dare you ignore him? The brawny man beside Hu Junqing was full of dissatisfaction. Their young master had such a distinguished family background. How could someone dare to ignore him like that? Hu Junqing looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with deep feelings. He did not stop the guards around him and even appeared somewhat proud of it. However, Bailey Hongzhuang's face chilled instantly. This time, she found the guards of this man to be extremely annoying. Roll. The cold chilly voice did not contain a trace of emotion. Bailey Hongzhuang did not even glance at Hu Junqing and his guards. The unassuming attitude clearly displayed her contempt. Seeing the attitude of Bailey Hongzhuang, the faces of the guards and Hu Junqing darkened. So far, no one had dared to tell them to roll. How dare you? The guard warned. Bailey Hongzhuang's brows wrinkled. She was studying the toxins in the miasma intently. Suddenly, a bunch of noisy guys had disturbed her. Just when Bailey Hongzhuang was about to make a move and solve this trouble, a figure clad in pale gold appeared beside her and in front of Hu Junqing. How dare you? Didn't you hear it? Di Bei-chan was like a dark storm, arrogant and decisive, not giving others the slightest chance of rejection. Hu Junqing looked at Di Bei-chan, who had suddenly appeared in front of him and wanted to threaten him. He never thought that after seeing Di Bei-chan's countenance, he would be at a loss for words. The dark and deep eyes were cold and murderous. Just a single look made him feel the dangerous atmosphere around. Although this idea was incredible, it truly did exist. However, Hu Junqing did not have time to stop the security guards next to him. Before he could say anything, they had already spoken. What kind of onion are you? How dare you speak to our young master like that? I think you are looking for death. Di Bei-chen's mouth curved in an evil smile. His aura became more and more cold, the killing intent congealing, letting a shiver run down people's spines. After seeing this scene, all the cultivators around also anticipated a good scene. Over the past few days, the place had become really monotonous. It is rare to have a fight break out. Everyone was very interested. Isn't that young master Hu? This newcomer is really unlucky. Yes, Hu Junqing's strength is not weak. I heard that the Hus are interested in the miasma forest. The Hu family has sent a lot of cultivators here. Oh, they just had to provoke the Hu family after arriving. This is really bad luck. I am afraid this Emin will be crushed. The security guards looked at Di Bei-chan in a proud manner. Whose escorts had always bullied others. Where does anyone have the power to talk back? I also feel that you are looking for death. The arc of Di Bei-chen's lips became wider, more dangerous and colder. In the next moment, shouts of excitement broke out from the practitioners around. Everyone was surprised to see the scene before them, hardly able to believe it. Chapter 456 Too Violent Very Violent. By Jun Yu sighed somewhat emotionally. Usually he rarely saw Di Bei-chen make a move. He did not expect that when Di Bei-chan did make a move he would be so arrogant and cold. Sure enough, he and Bailey Hongzhuang. They are too bloody. Cui Haoyan shook his head with a calm expression. After spending such a long time with these perverted people, he had become more and calmer. Wow, he's so handsome. Xia Zhiqing could not hide her excitement. This scene of bloody violence she likes very much. Gong Xiaoqing, Dong Fengyu, Lu Qinyu and Zhang Yunfeng stood still and silent. Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Bei-chan are really troublesome people. The escort who had originally acted arrogantly in front of Di Bei-chan had now shut up after Di Bei-chan punched him and made him unable to speak. He then kicked the guy into the air. The people around did not hear the slightest sound. The guards who had previously been all high and mighty were now lying on the ground not moving. As for Hu Junqing and the escort, they had scrammed far away like Bailey Hongzhuang had said. Because Di Bei-chan was at a realm that they could only dream of defeating, and this made them run away. That's right. They had now turned tail and ran. Now Hu Junqing and the escort were quietly scramming, unable to say anything. What's more, they didn't even know how far they should go. In any case, if they did not go far enough, Di Bei-chan would surely help them do it. That would be bad. Therefore, the unlucky Hu Junqing and the escort can only scram. Di Bei-chan turned his face and looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. Wifey, doesn't it feel a lot quieter? Bailey Hongzhuang smiled slightly. She too was impressed by Di Bei-chen's move. It seemed that Di Bei-chan was just as unforgiving as her. Not bad, Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. In that case, in order to prevent other people from harassing wifey, I will keep wifey company. Then Dibei-chan did not give Bailey Hongzhuang a chance to refuse and directly stood beside her, just like a good husband and wife pair. The cultivators around had an understanding at this moment and looked at Dibei-chan. They fully understood what Dibei-chan was trying to convey. Bailey Hongzhuang felt somewhat helpless. Dibei-chan will obviously not go, but she thinks that this misunderstanding was bad. Wifey, what are you studying? Hebe saw Bailey Hongzhuang intently staring at the silver needle that had darkened before their eyes. In the past, when he was helped by Bailey Hongzhuang, he had already seen the magic of acupuncture needles. Since the needle had turned black, it proved the toxicity. Bailey Hongzhuang's brows furrowed, her beautiful face dignified. The poison in the miasma is very strong. Those cultivators who had entered earlier must have surely died. I think I need to study this toxin. Otherwise, it will be impossible to understand the situation inside the miasma forest. Dibei-chan nodded slightly. He had always admired Bailey Hongzhuang's techniques. The toxin is so strong, but there are still demonic beasts inside. This is a bit bizarre. I also think that there are only two possible explanations. First, the center of the miasma forest has no toxin. Second, the demonic beasts are already accustomed to the toxin. Chapter 457 Shocked. Ancient Monument. This miasma has only appeared recently. Demonic beasts will not be able to adapt to it in such a short time. Dibei-chan's eyes flashed with the light of wisdom. His appearance was like that of a knowledgeable person who knew a lot. My thoughts are the same as yours. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled at this tacit understanding. Since it's like this, these bizarre demonic beasts will be worth studying. Immediately after that, Bailey Hongzhuang returned to the side of Xiaojiqing and the others. Sitting down, she began to concentrate on researching the toxin. The thick miasma made vision low, and unless they entered the miasma, they could not perceive anything on the inside, and it made information scarcer. Xiaojiqing and the others looked at Bailey Hongzhuang's complicated process of researching toxins, and they all felt a deep sense of admiration. In fact, in the face of this poisonous miasma, they really did not have the slightest idea or solution. Lu Huaiyan and Fu Hongbo were no longer hiding their presence after of the miasma forest situation. It was no longer necessary for them to hide. It was better to stay with their students. This toxin is very strong, and even if it is someone with my level of cultivation, they will not last long. Lu Huaiyan judged. As soon as this remark was said, the people's faces could not help but change. Not even the teacher would persist for a long time, let alone them. It seems that the mercenary trade union's judgment this time really was wrong. This task is definitely more than a blue level. Lu Huaiyan's eyes revealed his seriousness. After the demonic beast died, suddenly a miasma forest has popped up. It is a bit strange, and I am afraid that something is going on. Lu Huaiyan and Fu Hongbo looked at each other. This kind of situation was something they had only heard of but never encountered. It couldn't be, Lu Huaiyan said slowly, but in his heart there was a faint guess. Fu Hongbo nodded slightly. It is possible. Both teachers' expressions changed. If things really were as they expected, it would mean something big would soon happen. Xiaojiqing and others looked at the two teachers in puzzlement. They simply didn't understand what the two mentor was talking about. It was through their expressions that they determined that things weren't exactly good. Oh, I didn't expect such a thing to appear here. Dibei-chan leaned against a tree, a wide smile on his lips. Bailey Hongzhuang, who was still researching the toxin on the needle, heard Dibei-chan's words, and her clear eyes showed her curiosity. You already know why this miasma is here? If I expect things to be correct, this miasma should be the sign of the birth of an ancient monument. For Bailey Hongzhuang, Dibei-chan had no intention of concealing anything. Ancient monument. Bailey Hongzhuang's brows rose. She had also seen ancient monuments, but she has not known that ancient monuments were also accompanied by miasma. Ancient relics were structures built by strong cultivators. They kept their lives' wealth and inheritance in the remains, only to find a good person who could inherit these later on. The cultivators who built monuments were at the apex of cultivators. After all, it took a lot of energy to build a monument. Ancient monuments were generally located beneath the ground, or in a small world created by the strong cultivator. Only if certain criteria were met will these monuments be revealed. If an ancient monument had appeared, it must mean that certain criteria had now been met, and now it had been revealed. You're tuning into the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.